Cool Figure TV. Revolutionary salute. Revolutionary salute. Like, share, subscribe. Welcome to the House of Revolution. You know, I'm your humble host, the Revolution, and we got to start with saying R.I.P. R.I.P. to Sonya Massey. Killed by a race soldier, gunned down by the enemy of our people. And did I not warn y'all that these people was going to do this around election time so that y'all will vote blue no matter who? I've been warning y'all what the Democratic play was going to do, what it was going to be. Shalom, Queen. I told y'all to be looking for this, and here it is right on time. Now Kamala gets her George Floyd moment, an opportunity to come out and pretend like Grand Evening Queen Salute that she gives a damn about us, but we know she don't. They've been in power with Joe Biden the whole time. No George Floyd bill, no, none of that. No anti-black hate bill, none of that. You see, so we don't want to hear they crying and they moaning, but let's just get into what exactly going on.
I think we're about to show some police body camera footage from Springfield, Illinois. It was recorded on July the 6th. I want to warn everybody that this is extremely graphic video, and some viewers may find it very disturbing. Here it is.
Away from your hot steaming water.
Away from my hot steaming water?
Yeah.
Oh, I would rebuke you in the name of Jesus. I rebuke you in the name of Jesus.
You better not. That's where I got
Set that demon off.
Okay, I'm sorry.
Drop the pot. Drop the pot.
He had that on his mind. He had that on his mind the whole time. See, how disgusting it is. This young lady, salute, Queen. This young lady called the police because she hearing noises outside her house. Why are they in her house telling her what to do, when to do it, how to do it? You should be outside searching the outside. For some strange reason, they want to get her into this house. They knew that she had some type of mental ill situation. You see, this was a setup from the beginning. They knew it. He knew exactly what he was going to do. He just needed to position her for opportunity so he can do it. That's what makes it so disgusting, because it definitely was an execution.
Drop the effing pot. That was Springfield, Illinois Sheriff's Deputy Sean Grayson after shooting an unarmed African-American woman, 36-year-old Sonya Massey. Massey had been holding a pot of boiling water, and she moved it off of the stove.
This is what makes this more disgusting, because this is going on every day in this country, morning, noon, and night, rain, sleet, or snow, every season, summer, winter, spring, fall. This is going on. But I've been warning y'all that the Democrats, and everybody who's been listening, I told y'all the Democrats would do this around election time. What? To crank up black people. So black people, what, they already hit the streets, they marching, they protesting. We've been dying like this daily. Not only the hands of the KKK, but the blackface Ku Klux Klan. But we ain't gonna get on the blackface KKK. They killing every day, shooting women, robbing women, raping women, murdering, and Benjamin Crump don't say shit. But I'm not gonna go there. But what I am pissed off about is, now all of a sudden the news give a damn about a black woman being murdered again. And I'm watching them die every day. Now all of a sudden, they want some votes behind this lady. They energy vampires.
Stove after the police asked her to move it. When they then backed away, she said, "You're moving away because of this?" And they said, "Yeah, it's steaming water, it's boiling water." She then said, well, she was a bit sort of surprised and flustered that they would do this. She then said, I rebuke you in the name of Jesus. I rebuke you in the name of Jesus. Well, that triggered Deputy Grayson, or woke up the demon inside of him. After shooting Massey in the head, the other officer then radioed for an ambulance.
For emails now, we got a headshot wound to the female. Headshot wound to the female, 1078.
Come on, gave her a headshot, bro?
I was on.
Gave her a headshot? Because she got a pot of water. These people, come on, it's no justification. He's scared to death of that water. You know the water could do something. You're disgusting, bro. They could have backed up any goddamn thing. But this is what I'm trying to tell you, though. She called in. Why are you in her house again? You should be outside looking for the criminal. She said she heard. Why are you in her house? Because she is the criminal to him. He don't give a damn about what she called for. He knew what he was going to do. And he had to position her in the situation. He had to position her in a position. He had to get her in a position to do it. That's why he told her, "Oh, go get that pot over there." He already knew once she wouldn't touch that pot, that could be considered a weapon. Oh, put that goddamn pot down. What the fuck? You told her to touch that pot, and that pot is not a dangerous weapon. This killer just had killing on his mind.
I'm gonna go get my kit.
No, you headshot, dude. She's done. You can go get it, but that's headshot.
Nah, look, she's done. She's done. He like, don't worry about no shit. I shot in the head.
God damn it.
God.
That's a headshot, said Deputy Grayson. This incident happened on July the 6th at 1 a.m. It began when Massey called emergency dispatch to report a possible burglar near her home. 2 deputies from the Sangamon County Sheriff's Office then responded and entered Massey's home. Within a few minutes, the police seemed frustrated and asked Massey for some sort of...
Why are they entering her home? She said she hears somebody outside. Why do y'all want to come in this lady home to confront this lady and do this ritual killing? You should be outside with your flashlights, looking for the noises. Why are you going to get her into her house to find any ID? Why are you questioning her? Why are you treating her like a suspect? That's so goddamn disgusting. You got it on tape. You probably looking for the criminal. But obviously, she was the criminal to them the whole time.
Name and identification. Watch.
You have an ID? That'd make things so much easier. I just driver's license will do, and I'll get out of your hair.
She didn't be in her house.
I want to show y'all my paperwork.
And this is why this is so sick. Because if he wasn't in her house, he would have never had the chance to tell her, could you go touch that pot? If he was outside like he was supposed to be, on the porch, he's not supposed to be in her space. He knew what he was doing. This is too close. This is even too close. He's not supposed to be standing over that woman like that. That's ridiculous, but he is clouding her space. He want her to make the wrong move. He want her. He already know that she has some mental issues. He's trying to trigger her to do exactly what he did. Easy to see this.
What?
Get your paperwork.
What paperwork?
Okay. I got some paperwork.
Well, just get your ID.
Well, let's get your ID first, and then
One task at a time here.
Okay. Let me.
Here, grab your ID for me.
Okay.
Your ID. One task at a time. So let's do an ID, and then you can dig around for your paperwork.
I don't know where my ID is.
you have
Illegal.
a stack
That's
right
illegal.
there, maybe.
That's illegal. That's illegal. She don't have that's illegal. You do not have to show the police no identification. All they know that's too illegal. She called him. She can prove she called him. She don't have to show you no goddamn ID. That's nonsense. That is to confront her, to get her flustered. They know a lot of people don't want to identify themselves no goddamn way. You know who she is. You at her house. You know she's not the person that you know you're supposed to be looking for. They trying to get her upset, which they did. But since they couldn't get her to cuss him out or fuck with them about this ID thing, then the pot on the stove became a problem. My pot on the stove ain't none of your business. I could be making me boiling me some tea, gonna make some Roman noodles. Whatever I'm finna do. That's none of your damn business. He didn't have a right to tell her to touch that pot. So then he could say that was a weapon and shoot her. That's bullshit.
1 second.
Check on her.
Let me get this.
No, we don't need a fire while we're here.
Right. Right. Let me see. Okay. Where are you going?
Huh?
Where are you going?
Away from your hot steaming water.
Away from my hot steaming water?
Yeah.
Oh, I rebuke you in the name of Jesus. I rebuke you in the name of
He said, I'm getting away from the hot steaming water. How about going back outside, officer, where you're supposed to be? You're not supposed to be in that house. You're not here for her. She's not a suspect. You're not supposed to be in her house, crowding her space. Now, you see? Oh, well, that water. Now, look at him. He got his gun. What the fuck? He already touching his gun when she going to that pot because he already knew what he was going to do. See, touching that pot was the worst thing she could do in the house because that's the weapon. See, when they told her to get that ID, they want to shoot her. They want to shoot. I'm glad she didn't pull no ID out. They didn't already play. Remember when they told the brother, get your ID, the brother grabs ID. Oh, shit, pop, pop, pop. See, the old ID trick didn't work. Oh, fuck, she won't fall for that. She won't reach for something. Okay, how about that pot over there, man? And damn, that was it.
I swear to God, I'll shoot your face.
The family of Sonia Massie says that they were initially misled as to how she was killed. Massie's father, James Wilburn, told CBS Mornings the family was initially not told that their loved one's shooting death involved law enforcement. We were under the impression that she was killed by the intruder or some other person from the street, and they just went in there and found her dead body, Wilburn said, adding that rumors began to surface.
That's what they usually do. They usually would have put that on anybody she was sleeping with. Her ex-boyfriend would have definitely got charged with that murder if it wasn't on camera. Oh, yes, her ex-lover, any Negro, you was going to get charged with that. Your baby daddy, you was going to get charged with that. They really want to cook the books, but it was on camera. Damn, but we got it on camera. There's nothing we can do. There ain't some AI we can come up with. Because when the family came, all the police out there, they still ain't said, hey, we the one shot a officer involved shooting. Man, that's disgusting, man.
Circulate the Massey's killing was self-inflicted. Eventually, the sheriff's department in Springfield in this county admitted that a deputy had killed Massey. The sheriff then asked the state police to conduct an independent investigation. The state police took literally just hours of watching the body camera before they were able to report back the truth. And at that point, the sheriff's department fired Sean Grayson, and a local prosecutor charged Grayson with 3 counts of first-degree murder, aggravated battery with a firearm, and official misconduct. Grayson has pleaded not guilty to the charges, but he's being held without bond in a local jail. In the meantime, authorities have now released over 30 minutes of body camera footage. Most of it comes from the deputy who did not fire the shots, and that's because Sean Grayson apparently did not turn on his body camera until after he had fired the fatal shots. Civil rights attorney Benjamin Crook now represents the Massey family. He says the police shooting is one of the worst he has ever seen, and that the video footage is shocking.
Yeah, it is. And so a lot of times in these stories, I read the story before I watch the video because I want to get a sense of it. And then when you watch the video, you get super important details. So when I was reading the story, what I was wondering is, how close is she to the cop? So if you're standing right here, okay, you throw hot water, okay, hard to react in quickly, right? The second thing I was wondering is, how threatening was she? Did it sound like, I read in the story, she said, I rebuke you in the name of Jesus. I'm like, yeah, that could be said in a couple of different ways, and how threatening was it? The third thing I was wondering is, what was the context? Was it really hostile earlier or not? Because remember, she called for help. She said, can you please help me? I think there might be an intruder. So it's not like she comes in hostile into the situation. So when you watch the video, as you just did, you see, I mean, before the shooting, it seemed like perfectly normal situation. They're having a conversation, she can't find her ID. Maybe both sides are a little frustrated. Maybe she didn't like the way that, that they're talking to her, or they didn't like the way she was talking. But I mean, very normal. And then you see the pot of water is all the way across the room. Even if she threw it, she'd maybe get 1 or 2 drops on one of the guys.
He was never supposed to tell her
you're gonna
pot of water. That pot of water, even if that pot of water start boiling over, it could never get to him. For when he told her to go touch that pot of water, he was setting her up to kill her.
Kill someone over that? No, nobody's that big a coward, are they? What if she throws a pot of water that she's in the middle of putting down, which I told her to go grab? She didn't go grab it. You told her to go get it. And she's in the middle of putting it, and you think, well, there's a 0.00001% chance that she might not put it down, as she's doing right now, and she might throw it at me and throw it all the way across the room and get a couple of drops on me. And so I think my life is in danger. No. Guys like that are dangerous. A guy like that, you can tell from the video, can't wait to shoot. And then he's bragging about the headshot afterwards. He literally prevented his partner from going outside and treating her wounds. The guy eventually did. The partner throughout the tape is trying to mitigate everything. Like, not in a bad way, in a good way. Like, oh, okay, let me at least try to help her. And he does eventually try to help her, and of course it's too late. But this guy, and David, this guy apparently has been in 6 different police departments over the last 4 years. So what in the world was going on with this guy that led him here? And that it was one of the most unjustifiable shootings I have ever seen.
Surprise!
Look, Jen, we have, as you know, we've done a lot of police body camera videos in Rebel HQ, and this one is the worst for all the reasons you listed. But also, it underscores 2 things. First, we've been talking repeatedly about why isn't there a national database that identifies cops who get fired from one department, or the so-called bad apples, so the bad apples can't end up taking somebody's life. And the other part about it is, police continue to be trained in dominating a situation. If you perceive a threat, the police officers, regardless of whether the threat is justified, for some cops, it
ain't no getting around this. These police officers are trained by the IDF, the Israeli Defense Forces. They are trained to treat us just like they treat the Palestinians. Everybody is a threat. That's how they are trained. Everybody is a threat. Anything you do is to proceed as a threat. And they are to worry about their life and not your goddamn life. I don't want to hear squat from the Democrats on this. Should be no marching and protesting. Why? Because they've been in power. Kamala and Joe Biden been in power. You didn't get no George Floyd Act. You didn't get no anti-black hate bill. You didn't get shit. So if they think they're gonna get some votes out of this, they got to be out of their goddamn mind.
This person looks different than me, then they must be a threat. Well, when cops perceive a threat, they are told to dominate a situation, to take control. Well, you could just as easily train police on de-escalation techniques as escalation techniques. In other words, okay, maybe I perceive that this woman's saying something about Jesus. Maybe she's about to do something to me. I don't understand what she's saying. There are things that cops can be trained to do to say, okay, hold on a second. I don't understand. Let's lower the temperature here. Let's slow down. What do you mean? Are you saying I rebuke you because you're saying something sarcastic about me backing away? Or are you saying I rebuke you and I'm about to pour boiling? I mean, there are things that cops can do in the moment to pause if they are trained that way, but they're not trained that way. And that's why policing in America is still fundamentally flawed.
Yeah, and so I want to build on that because I'm so frustrated. We've been covering this now for a long time. Benjamin Crump, who's a lawyer here, was here at the Young Turks and said something really touching. He said, if it wasn't for you guys, Trayvon Martin wouldn't have gotten the national attention that he did, and we wouldn't be talking about these issues. And I appreciate that so much.
You only know about Trayvon because Barack Obama used it. You only know about Sandra Bland, and you only know about George Floyd. You only know see these people that Breonna Taylor. You know about them because the Democrats bring it to light when they need some votes. But once again, this is happening every day, all around the motherfucking country. They won't say shit until it's convenient to say something. You understand that? They don't give a damn until it's convenient. And once again, this is the worst time for Joe Biden and Kamala. Kamala can come out and say something she wants to when the people need to ask, well, you've been in office. What happened? You promised the people a George Floyd bill if they put you out of office. They didn't get squat. When you did get in office, you gave us an Asian hate bill. This not happening to the Asians because they got the hate bill.
And that's part of the reason we cover this. It's in a sense a new civil rights movement to make sure that African Americans in this country are not abused as they have been.
Civil rights ain't for us. See, Malcolm X said human rights. You see, they don't want we human rights. So we take their ass to the UN. We got to go to the United Nations with this shit. Civil rights keep us in their courts. See, them congressional black shoe shiners, they knew that. They knew, keep talking about civil rights, you're going to stay in the petty courts of America. You get talking about human rights, oh my goodness, sanctions on America for what's happening to us. America needs to be sanctioned for what happened to this young lady. We need sanctions on the banking system. Yes, sanctions on America for what happened to this lady. We got to go to the UN, like Malcolm said.
Fortunately, for a long time by the authorities. Now, when we went to go fix those problems, we constantly talked about it. And anybody who watches the Young Turks will remember me saying this dozens of times. The number one problem is the police training. They train them to, as David explained there, number one, if anything's a threat, better to be judged by 12 than carried out by 6. That's their big saying that they love to say, right? Meaning like you don't want to be carried out by the pallbearers, so just shoot them and kill them, who cares? Don't worry, you'll win the jury trial. Better to be judged by 12, right? And so we teach cops all across this country, don't take any risks. I
just seen a video. I just seen a video of a white lady, and I'll find that video too. White lady hopped down in front of the police department with a motherfucking assault rifle, yelling, hollering, screaming. The police came out there. They didn't even shoot. They went for their mace first. First, they tried to mace the lady. Lady got an AK-47. Lady got an assault rifle, Stendo on it. And they're seeing her as a human. Ma'am, it ain't worth it. Put it down. Ma'am, please, think about your future. Think about your kids. She don't know she got no goddamn kids. Your family loves you. How do you know she has a family? They're making up shit. You have things to live for. How you know? And I sat there and looked at that, and the first thing I said, I ain't gonna be a racist and say, see, that's how they treat white people. But it is a fact, see. They see you as less than, they get real trigger happy. They're trained by the Israeli Defense Forces. So they see the Palestinians as less than. You see what I'm saying? See, that's what happened. And that's why most police officers, they got to look at us different. You see, that's one of them black officers, I tell you this. They bleed, cop blue. They got a vow not to be black. You blue, ain't you? That's what I'm blue, I'm thin blue line, all that shit. They gotta make sure your ass don't got no sympathy for what we finna be doing on this goddamn police force.
Take any risk, just shoot. That's why Tamir Rice, 12-year-old boy in a park, shot dead in 2 seconds. We've covered endless stories where the police come in and shoot in 2 seconds because they've been trained to be cowards. And then the other part of the training that is abysmal is if anyone disrespects you, you have to dominate them. And here, I think the actual problem wasn't the threat of the water going across the room. I think that he was bothered that she disrespected him by saying, I rebuke you in the name of Jesus. And as I've told you a million times on this show, the biggest crime in America, even though it isn't in a single law book, is disrespecting a police officer. But she took a bullet for that, or took several bullets for that here, which is just above and beyond. But instead, what's the reform we got? In a bunch of states, they moved some serious felonies like domestic assault to misdemeanors. I don't remember anybody asking for that. I know I never asked for it, and it doesn't address this problem at all. So why did we do reform that missed the target by about 100 yards? No, and now those so-called reforms are very unpopular. So when you go to say, hey, can we fix the police training? They go, oh yeah, you guys with the defund the police. No way, man, no way. We're gonna hire more cops, we're gonna do this, we're gonna double down, we're gonna quadruple down. No, don't double down on terrible training. I don't know why we went in that direction. The proper direction is, for God's sake, stop shooting the citizens. It's not too much to ask for. And look, we're always fair and honest. In this case, at least the department acted really quickly, which they almost never do. Usually they spend months and years doing CYA, covering the ass of the officer and the person who hired him and all of that. But here, at least they got to justice quickly. And not only is he fired, but he's arrested, as he should be.
Look, it also underscores that to be an African American in the United States means that when police show up at your door, you're literally on your hands and knees hoping and praying that this is not one of the bad racist apples that exist in police. And that's not a problem that most white people have to confront. And I think this is just yet another reminder. There is institutional racism in America, and it plays out in deadly consequences, particularly when you're talking about racists who have a badge and a gun.
Thanks for watching The Young Turks. We really appreciate it. Another way to show support
yesterday's disturbing body camera footage, the Massey family says they want a deeper investigation into the shooting and how deputies handled the aftermath.
They seem to not have been told the truth at the very beginning.
Civil rights attorney Ben Crump says there are many questions left unanswered in the deputy-involved homicide of 36-year-old Sonya Massey. Massie was shot and killed inside her home on July 6 after she called 911 to report a suspected prowler in her neighborhood. Video shows she spoke with deputies. When she went to remove a pot of boiling water from her stove, she's heard saying, "I rebuke you in the name of Jesus."
Away from your hot steaming water.
Away from my hot steaming water?
Yeah.
Oh, I rebuke you in the name of Jesus. I rebuke you in the name of Jesus.
You better not. I swear to God, I'll shoot you right in your face.
Sangamon County Deputy Sean Grayson pulls out his gun as she apologizes and tries to take cover.
I'll shoot you in your fucking face, all that over-aggressive nature, you see what I'm saying? They ain't got nothing to do with policing.
We are pausing the video as Deputy Grayson fatally shoots Massey in the head. Deputy Grayson has since been fired from the sheriff's office and has been charged with murder. In an email to WGN, the Department of Justice tells us they are assessing and tracking the criminal case opened by the Sangamon County State's Attorney.
When I got to the scene, the officer notified me that it was under investigation. We knew that she had problems with her neighbor. Not once was I told that the officer did it.
In the hours following her murder, the Massey family says they were not told it was a deputy-involved shooting until much later. Attorney Crump says a transcript of Scanner that night added to the family's confusion.
on the dispatch audio link that we released, it says self-inflicted. And then they say, okay, thank you. We needed to be investigated.
Massey's family is also calling for the Sangamon County Sheriff to resign for hiring Grayson in the first place. State records obtained by our Nexstar sister station, WCIA, show Grayson worked at 6 different law enforcement agencies within a 4-year period, and that he has 2 misdemeanor DUIs in his background. County officials said they were aware of his DUIs due to a required background check, but to their knowledge, Grayson had not been fired from any previous jobs.
If it were not for that camera footage, we as a people, they would have lied, and they'd have lied their way right out of this. So he needs to resign.
Now, in an email, Sangamon County Sheriff Jack Campbell tells me he is not resigning from office. In a statement, he says what happened does not reflect the values of their law enforcement community. Attorney Ben Crump says Vice President Kamala Harris is set to speak with the Massey family. Back to you.
democracynow.org. I'm Amy Goodman with Juan Gonzalez. A warning to our listeners and viewers, we're about to discuss graphic details of police violence. The family of Sonya Massey is demanding justice after the unarmed 36-year-old Black woman was shot dead in her own home in Illinois when she called 911 for help. Police initially claimed she died from a self-inflicted gunshot wound, but police body cam footage has just been released and has proved that all to be a lie. Former Sangamon County Sheriff's Deputy Sean Grayson, who's white, has been fired and charged with first-degree murder for fatally shooting Sonya Massey. Grayson did not activate his body cam until after he killed her. But the other officer's body camera was activated when they arrived at her house.
Get away with it.
It shows the 2 men speaking with Sonya before one notes her stove is on and says, "We don't need a fire while we're here." When Massey goes to turn off the stove where a pot of water is boiling, a deputy tells her to step away from your hot steaming water. Massey can be heard saying, "I rebuke you in the name of Jesus," and Grayson takes his gun out and responds, quote, "You better effing not, or I swear to God I'll effing shoot you in the effing face." As Sonya Massey appears to duck and twice says, "I'm sorry," the video shows Grayson moving toward her and fire 3 shots, ultimately shooting her in the face. This is a clip of the exchange leading up to the shooting.
What is your last name? Shouldn't have to think about your last name.
Okay.
You're not in trouble. I just need to text.
Massey.
Huh?
Massey.
You have an ID? That makes things so much easier. I just need to get just driver's license will do, and I'll get out of your hair.
I want to show y'all my paperwork.
I will get your paperwork.
What paperwork?
Okay. I got some paperwork.
Well, just get your ID.
Well, let's get your ID first, and then
One task at a time here.
Okay. Let me
Here, grab your ID for me.
Okay.
Your ID. One task at a time. So let's do an ID, and then you can dig around for your paperwork.
I don't know where my ID is.
You
just
have
got that stack right there, maybe.
1 second.
check on her.
Let me get this.
We don't need a fire while we're here.
Right. Right. Let me see. Okay. Where you going?
Huh?
Where you going?
Away from your hot steaming water.
Away from my hot steaming water?
Yeah.
Oh, I would rebuke you in the name of Jesus.
I
Rebuke you in the name of Jesus.
no, that's where I'll shoot you right in your face.
So after that, Sean Grayson shoots Sonya Massey. Body cam footage later records him telling his partner not to render aid to her. Records show Grayson has worked 6 different law enforcement agencies in Illinois since 2020. All of this comes as Massey's family says police first tried to cover up her killing. The Guardian newspaper obtained audio of a call from the scene in which a deputy told the dispatcher Massey's wound was self-inflicted. The family said it was also given misleading information given by police that she was shot by a neighbor. This is Massey's father, James Wilburn, at a news conference.
I was under the impression that a prowler had broke in and killed my baby. Never did they say there was a deputy involved shooting until my brother read it on the internet. He shared with me, he said, brother, what was Sonia's address? I told him, and he said to me, this says this is a deputy involved shooting. I said, deputy involved shooting? What are you talking about?
Sonya Massey was the mother of two, a 15-year-old daughter and a 17-year-old son. Her killing by police has prompted protests, and both President Biden and Democratic presidential candidate Kamala Harris issued statements saying Massey's family deserves justice. Vice President Harris said, quote, Sonya Massey deserved to be safe.
Don't listen to her or Joe Biden. They've been in power. They didn't give you no George Floyd bill, and they didn't pass no anti-black hate bill. This is at their doorstep.
Doug and I send strength and prayers to Sonya's family and friends. We join them in grieving her senseless death, unquote. Harris also called for Congress to pass the George Floyd Justice and Policing Act. For more, we're joined by Ben Crump, civil rights attorney representing the family of Sonya Massey. Can you explain exactly what took place?
They got in the power. They had the Senate, they had the Congress, and they had the presidency, and they still didn't pass that George Floyd bill. Hell no.
You've been out there, Ben. You're representing the family at this point. And talk about the cover-up as well.
Well, obviously, it's a tragic beyond proportions, Amy. This is the worst police shooting video that I've seen. I mean, it is so senseless.
And this chasing.
And the video is disturbing, but the audio is equally disturbing. When you look at that video and you see him move around the counter, even though he's trying to allege the reason he shot her was because he feared that she was going to throw hot water in his face from the pot, the very pot that he sent her to get. And then he moves around the counter, I think, from an objective observation, looks like to get a better shot. And then he has no remorse whatsoever. When his partner says, I'm going to go get my CPR kit, he says, nah, it's a headshot. Don't worry about that. It's not going to make a difference. She's gone. And then at one point in the video, he says, just let her effing, and he doesn't finish his statement, but a logical comparison can conclude, he's saying just let her die. And so it's troubling on every level. She needed a helping hand, Amy. She did not need a bullet to the face.
And Ben, Trump, equally disturbing is the fact that the authorities at first even withheld the actual information of what happened here. Could you talk about that and how you were able to uncover what really occurred?
Well, the family said when they initially got to her home, they kept asking what happened, who did this, and they asked questions saying, well, did she have a history with the neighbor? We're trying to find out. You know, what the family say they told them, it's under investigation, never told them that it was a police involved shooting. In fact, one of the relatives said that a nurse at the hospital was saying, they said this was self-inflicted. We saw some radio scanner back and forth where they talked about whether it was self-inflicted or not. So we don't know what the narrative was initially, but we've asked for a thorough investigation of that as well. What led up to the killing itself, and then the aftermath of the killing with the sheriff's department, because we don't believe Deputy Grayson should have never been hired in the first place. He was convicted of 2 DUIs. We understand that he was discharged from the Army, and he had 6 jobs in 4-year span different law enforcement agencies. We have reason to believe that he may have been terminated from some of those law enforcement agency jobs. And so the question is, why did he even have a job as a sheriff's deputy? The judge said at the bond hearing, after watching the video that was released yesterday, that he believed Officer Grayson was a threat to public safety.
Call that premeditation. And they could have easily backed up. They could have, but they don't do that. They don't do that. I'm going to fucking face that. What do they call that? Premeditation. Premeditation is the deliberation and the forethought about killing somebody with intent. And it can happen in an instant. I don't have to plan your death day to kill you tomorrow and have that whole time to contemplate death for it to be premeditated. It can happen in an instant.
I'm gonna go get my kid. No, headshot, dude. She's done.
So he wants to get his kid to see if he can save her. And he says, nah, she's done. It's a headshot. And that's what he threatened her with.
Yeah, I'm good. It's fucking crazy.
Fucking bitch is crazy. I mean, listen to the callousness. Callousness. He just got done shooting somebody who was vulnerable. Vulnerable adult that posed no threat to him whatsoever. She had a pot of hot boiling water. Rebuke you in the name of Jesus. Pulls his gun. She cowers and says, I'm sorry.
All right. I'm not even going to waste my med stuff then.
Waste my med stuff. She's not worth trying to save.
Holstered up. Let her just... There's nothing we can do, man.
Let her just what? Let her just what? Let her just bleed out? Is that what you were going to say? You didn't render aid. The minute you pulled your gun, she cowered. She was no threat to you whatsoever. And that is powerful, powerful evidence. Funny how he's putting up the crime scene tape for his own crime.
Oh, it hurt you. You called us.
Okay.
So what'd you hear? No, that's where I got. I'll shoot you in your face.
Okay, I'm sorry.
Bruce Rivers, he's the criminal lawyer. Who is he? Bruce Rivers, he's the criminal lawyer. And who is he? Bruce Rivers, he's the criminal lawyer. And what he do? And it's gonna react to all the self-snitching. Oh.
Hi, this is Bruce Rivers. Welcome to another fun-filled episode of Criminal Lawyer Reacts. I'm Bruce Rivers, your very own personal board-certified criminal defense lawyer. Board certified by the National Board of Trial Advocacy and by the Minnesota State Bar Association. And that just means that I specialize in the area of criminal law. I go to trial, and this is what I do. And today we are lucky. We are so lucky because we are joined by the one and only content genius. The man behind the plan, the man behind the microphone, the man behind the camera, and in front of the camera. And honestly, how can one person be in front of the camera and behind the camera at the same time?
And then goes home to edit.
That's called talent. Talent on loan from whoever. Anyway, today we are reacting to a body cam footage of the deputy shooting Sonya Massey in Springfield, Illinois. It's tragic case. We're going to watch the body cam. This officer was charged with first-degree murder, held in detention. We'll talk about that. And we'll just talk about a lot of issues surrounding what this cop did and how he did it. But before we get to that, this is brought to you by eforms.com. eforms.com, if you need a form because let's say your grandma's her scooter because, and avoid the courtroom. Police misconduct, but police training and making bad decisions. And what is the standard that we apply to police as they use lethal force? We'll talk about that. So my understanding is that she calls the cops because she sees somebody suspicious in or near, on her property or near her property.
I hear her phone ringing and she's refusing to come to the door, so we're about to go tonight. Dead in there.
Now, most cops are good cops. They just are. You know, they're decent family guys and whatever. But there's so many of them that are in it for the wrong reason. They're in it for ego. You know, you look, they're all built to
Well,
beat
the
all
good
hell.
cops
And
scared
their
of the bad
attitudes are
cops. Then
shit.
that's the fucking
Did you
problem.
hear what he said?
Yeah, maybe she's dead in there.
Yeah, I hope she's not dead.
So, I mean, cops go to the worst case scenario. So he says, I hope she's not dead in there. You know, if they thought she was dead, they got no information to suggest she's dead. If they did, they should just bust the door down.
It's a little oxymoronic that he said that.
Oh, given what happens later.
Yeah.
Is this a ring doorbell? Yeah, it doesn't work though. Sheriff's office.
Well, we know she's not dead yet.
2 houses down. I think. Oh no, it's right here.
Put the drugs up. Go ahead. She was yelling inside. Just told us to hold on. You coming to the door or not?
There's a thing called community policing.
She shouldn't open.
Where you had, you know, the cops know everybody in the neighborhood. We need to get back to that, to be honest with you. I mean, live in the neighborhood, police the neighborhood. Oh, I know Mr. Johnson. I know her. I know her. You know all these people. He doesn't know who she is. She doesn't know anything about her. And he's fucking pissed off that he's been waiting outside for almost 4 minutes now.
All right. Hurry up.
Hurry up. Things to do, places to go, people to see. Probably took them a while to get to her. So she probably, put her night clothes on and went to bed. Or maybe she's not wearing night clothes and needed to put her night clothes on to come to the door.
Sheriff's office. The one you called.
Somebody is out here and I need to go here. Please don't hurt me.
Oh, we hurt you. You called us.
Okay.
So what'd you hear?
Huh. No, we hurt you, and we want to kill him.
Is this your car over here?
Please, God. Please, God. Please.
Is this your car over here? Oh.
Please, God.
That's not your black car in the driveway? Oh, well, we checked your yard. We walked around the whole block. We didn't see anybody. Right? We don't. We checked the whole area. There's nobody out walking around.
I know, y'all. Please, God. Please, God.
So does this woman look like a threat to you? She's an elderly woman in her bedclothes holding her phone. And look how big this cop is. He's a big ass bad cop. I'm big. I'm bad. I got a big bad ass.
You hear what she kept repeatedly saying.
What did she say?
Please don't hurt me. Please don't hurt me.
Did she say that?
And I need to go here. Please don't hurt me, y'all.
Oh, we hurt you. You called us.
Okay. Please.
So what'd you hear?
Please, God. Please, God. Please. I don't know what to do.
Do with what?
Huh?
What do you need help with?
Nothing. I just wanted to see if I could help.
You can tell she's confused. She doesn't pose a threat to anybody. But, I guess the threat can come from anywhere, right? But she's an elderly woman who's confused.
Help me.
What do you want help with?
Huh?
What do you want help with?
I heard somebody outside.
Yeah, we checked your house. We checked your backyard. I walked all the way through all these backyards. We checked your front yard.
We didn't see nobody.
Yeah,
So.
nobody's out here.
You didn't see any.
This really should be the end of the inquiry. That should be it. She's already given her name to the 911 operator. So we checked around, didn't see anybody. You okay? And be on your way.
Nope. Checked the whole area.
Okay.
What took you so long to answer the door?
Oh, I was trying to put on some clothes, sir.
That's none of his
I
business.
got you. All right. Is there anything else we can do for you?
Huh?
Is there anything else I can do for you?
No, sir.
Is there anything else I can do for you? Very condescending, very impatient. I'm telling you, we need more mature police officers. This pisses me off when they're like this because this is just an elderly woman who's confused. You know, you don't have to be condescending.
Okay. All right.
You doing all right mentally?
Yes.
Sure.
My medicine and stuff.
All right. Okay.
I love y'all. Thank y'all.
All right. That's not your black car though. The SUV. Whose is it?
Harassment.
You don't know? If someone just parked it in your driveway?
They brought it to my driveway.
And just left it?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, let's run that.
Yeah. 19, I got a 24.
Does anyone else live here with you?
Somebody else.
David Mary 43556.
You got a name? You got an idea or something? Take your name real quick.
Don't you think that the bangs in the background would be concerning? I don't know if those are gunshots or fireworks. It is 2 days after the 4th of July, so maybe.
Simple.
He was trying to get in the house the whole time to start this confrontation. They're not supposed to be searching nothing in that house. This is all illegal.
You got no business looking in her room. He's got. I mean, is he looking for the intruder? There's no intruder that's been reported. He's got absolutely no business looking in her room.
Can you talk about the kind of the rules, the Fourth Amendment search and seizure?
She had clearly let him into her house, but and he's free to see whatever's in plain view, you know, but he doesn't have the right to just go in.
She didn't let him in the house. He told her, I need to see something with your name on it. He's seeing she don't have, he trying to get her to go get that purse because then he was going to pretend like she's making a dramatic movement. But his partner was already back by then, so he wasn't able to pull his murder plot. He forced his way in the house. He was not supposed to be in the house. He could have waited. When she went to go get her ID, that don't mean he get to come in the house. He supposed to stand outside her house till she come back to the door and hand him an ID. All that was bullshit, but he did it for a reason, to get in the house and try to agitate her, to get her to make some type of erratic movement so he can do exactly what the fuck he did.
And start searching. And I know it's not a full search or anything, but he's just looking around and whatever.
Yeah, I need. I got the sheriff department here, but I was calling for help from y'all.
Okay, are you there with me?
They're here in my house right now.
Okay, I'll let you go. You can talk to them.
No, hold on. Wait a second, sir.
You can hang up, Codwell.
For what? You're there with the deputy, correct?
No, hold on, okay?
Look, hey, that's crazy. She something in her spirit is telling her this is evil in front of her. Evil is here. She don't even want to get off the phone with the police because she like, these men, it's something wrong with this evil dude who is up on me. She felt it.
For what?
Just 1 second, okay? Okay.
What's up?
I got some paperwork. Can you grab that Bible, please?
Yeah. Hey, I just need your name.
She's probably going to take that Bible and smack him with it, right? I mean, she's just an innocent.
Think he's crazy. She think he's a demon. See, she's already, that's crazy. Y'all don't understand. She think he's a demon. That's why she said, hey, could you grab that Bible? She really she's seen something, and I guess you got to be near death before you can see this. She's seen the demonic entity that was in her prison. That's why she said, I rebuke you in the name of Jesus. And that entity just went all the way off. That's some real shit to see. They gonna have to look at this. They gonna have to really dig into that video, man. That's what she said, touch that Bible. She's like some holy water. She wanted to see if the nigga would start hollering or whatever. That's crazy.
A woman who's a little confused. This is why maturity and training and more education, like in psychology, for example, would do these guys wonders.
So we can get out of here Was there any damage previous to your car?
Previous, yeah, it was.
Okay, what was the damage?
A dent, I believe.
What about windows?
Oh, it was something that happened earlier.
Okay, perfect. What is your last name? Shouldn't have to think about your last name. You're not in trouble. I just need to attach.
Massey.
Massey. Yeah. You have an ID? That'd make things so much easier. I just need to get just driver's license will do, and then I'll get out of your hair.
I want to show y'all my paperwork.
I will get your paperwork.
What paperwork?
Okay. I got some paperwork.
Well, just get your ID.
Well, let's get your ID first, and then
one task.
See how they're really impatient with her, and you know, it just drives me nuts because she did not need to die.
The time here.
Okay. Let me
Here, grab your ID for me.
Okay.
Your ID. One task at a time. So let's do an ID, and then you can dig around for your paperwork.
I don't know where my ID is.
you see that stack right there, maybe.
1 second.
Check on her.
Let me get this.
No, we don't need a fire while we're here.
Right. Okay.
See?
Let me see. Okay. Where you going?
Huh?
Where you going?
Away from your hot steaming water.
Away from my hot steaming water?
Yeah.
Oh, I would rebuke you in the name of Jesus. I rebuke you in the name of
You better not. I swear to God, I'll fucking shoot you right in your fucking face.
Okay.
So that demon didn't want to get rebuked. She said, I rebuke you. You better not rebuke me. You better not rebuke me. That straight from the pits of hell. See, people, you better look at this video, man. That demon did not want to be rebuked. See, that demon was trying to play nice until the rebuke came. She told him to touch that Bible. The demon did not touch that Bible. Do y'all see that? He never picked up that Bible. That is a demonic entity that took over that man's soul. Then when she went to get that water, she's like, I rebuke you. You better not. I'll kill you right now. Maniac, man.
So they ask her where she's going. He said, going away from your hot steaming water. And then she says, I rebuke you in the name of Jesus.
Away from your hot steaming water.
Away from my hot steaming water?
Yeah.
Oh, I would rebuke you in the name of Jesus.
He thought that was holy water.
I rebuke you in the name of Jesus. Clearly, she's got mental health issues.
Nah, bullshit.
There's no question that she's got mental health issues.
Mental health issues. Listen, man, I ain't trying to hear that. We the people of the book. We ain't trying to hear that. They trying to think that she not crazy. What's crazy of saying, I rebuke you in the name of Jesus? Nothing. Big mama. That's what our people say when you evil. When you doing some evil shit, they will rebuke you in our community. When we see evil on you, and we see it spewing out your pores. Yeah, no, ain't nothing crazy about that. And I'll be damned if they try to make her some crazy lady. If she was crazy, she would have tossed the hot water at his goddamn ass, but she didn't. She said, oh, I'm sorry. What crazy person do that? Huh? No crazy person does that.
You better fucking not. I swear to God, I'll fucking shoot you right in your fucking face.
You better not. I'm going to shoot you right in your face.
So didn't want to be rebuked.
She poses no danger to this guy.
He hated the name.
She just doesn't.
Okay, I'm sorry. Okay, I'm sorry.
Drop the
Okay, I'm sorry. Okay, I'm sorry.
Drop the fucking pot. Drop the fucking pot. Drop the fucking pot.
19 shots fired.
Shots fired. Shots fired.
Salute.
Drop the
pot.
Just shoots her 3 times. 3 times. So when he fires,
he did not like being rebuked in the name of Jesus.
They could have retreated. They absolutely could have retreated. And I don't think the law requires them to retreat. But her life, to save her life, they should have retreated. But if you look at what's in between them, there's a countertop with all kinds of shit on it. She doesn't pose a threat. She doesn't pose a threat of serious bodily harm or death. And that's what you have to have for lethal force. There's a force continuum that the cops adhere to. It's part of their training. It starts with talking and ends with lethal force. Sometimes you jump right to lethal force just because the situation calls for it. But there's gradations, and she's clearly confused. And here he's, I rebuke you in the name of Jesus. She doesn't say she's going to throw shit on him, and they could have easily backed up. But they don't do that. They don't do that. I'm going to shoot you in the fucking face. What do they call that? Premeditation. Premeditation is, the deliberation.
Why did he say you better not? Why did he say you better not? She never said I throw water on you. She said I rebuke you in the name of Jesus. He said you better not. I'll fucking shoot you. That's why I say he is the demonic entity. He telling her don't throw water. She never said nothing about throwing water. Nah, he don't want to be rebuked because he's a fucking demonic entity.
Forethought about killing somebody with intent. And it can happen in an instant.
People just don't want to believe.
I don't have to plan your death
to understand
today,
what you saw, but it is what it is,
to kill you tomorrow and have that whole time to contemplate death for it to be premeditated. It can happen in an instant.
All right, now I want to go. I'm gonna do something really quick. I'm gonna put it on 0.25.
So let's do this. Let's slow it down just a little bit and see what it is that he does. So I'm going to shoot you in the fucking face. His gun's not drawn yet. And what does she do after he pulls his gun? She cowers. She cowers.
And she says, I'm sorry. If you look at the thing, she says, oh, you don't have the subtitles up. She said, I'm sorry.
So she cowers and says, I'm sorry. This cop is fucked. I mean, what's your defense? Your defense has to be reasonable. There's just no call for them to be shooting. I mean, you can't take that time back. You can't take those bullets back. And I'm not an expert in police activity or police training or anything like that. I do know what I've seen over the years, and I've cross-examined police experts, so I do know a little bit about the force continuum, and I know about what makes sense and what doesn't make sense. You tell me if they walked outside for 2 seconds. If they walked outside for 2 seconds, who's harmed? Nobody. And guess what? She's alive. She's alive.
Yeah, that little settings button.
I got it.
Back to normal. Yeah.
I'm not an idiot.
Shots fired! Shots fired! Drop the fucking pot!
She can't drop the pot now. She's fucking dead.
Bring this now. We got a headshot wound to the female.
Headshot wound to the female. No reason for them to use lethal force in this.
Wound to the female. 1078.
Fuck is right. You know what that is? That is consciousness of guilt. I just messed up.
I was on. Murder somebody.
I'm gonna go get my kit. No, headshot, dude. She's done. You can go get it, but that's a headshot.
You can go get it. That's a headshot. Kill the executioner.
God damn it.
God. Yeah. I mean, she did not need to be shot.
Yeah, I'm not taking boiling water in head. And look, it came right to our feet too. God damn it.
So he's gonna say that he was afraid of a boiling hot pot of water, that and that he feared either serious bodily or death. That's what it's got to be: serious bodily injury, or great bodily injury, or death. Now, can a pot of water burn you? Absolutely, it can burn you. And can it cause great bodily harm? Yeah. Can it cause death? Probably not death.
God damn it!
You good?
I'm good. You good?
Yeah, I'm good. Let her fucking just. There's not what you do, man.
So he's convinced his partner not to give her medical aid.
You good? All right. Fuck. Well, I mean, what else do we do?
What else can we do? Let me ask you this. What harm could it have been if she's being crazy with a pot of water for them to just step outside? What harm could have come to them if they just stepped outside? That's not within their bailiwick, right? That's not within their skill set to back off. because they're attack. It's like when you chase. I don't believe in police chases either. I mean, what's to be lost if you just get the guy's license plate and you back off and then go to his house and wait for him at his house? That happens all the time, actually. But you risk the danger to citizens. This citizen should have been left alone.
I'm not taking hot boiling water to the fucking face, and it already reached us.
Fuck. I didn't see her throw the water on the officers. Did you? Did you see it in that? It didn't happen.
You better not. I swear to God, I'll fucking shoot you right in your face.
Okay, I'm sorry.
Drop the fucking pot! Drop the fucking pot!
Look at her. She's cowering.
How would it hurt you? You called us.
Okay.
So what'd you hear?
She's not doing anything to anybody.
In the beginning, she knew not to trust him. She didn't even want to come outside. She said, "Y'all might do something to me." And the cop said, "Why would we hurt you? You the one called us." Just understand this. She knew from the beginning something wasn't right with these cops. She felt it from the beginning, and they baited her in to kill her.
Bring us now. We got a headshot window.
Guess what? This is powerful shit. And what's the trial going to be about? The trial's going to be about one thing and one thing only. What the officer thought and whether that thought was reasonable or not. And his defense is going to be, I feared for my life or my physical safety. I thought I was in great I thought I was in danger of great bodily harm. That, and you can use lethal force when it comes to that. But that belief was not reasonable. And that's what a trial is going to be about for this officer.
Female. Headshot wound to female. 1078. Fuck. I was on. I'm gonna go get my kit. No, headshot, dude. She's done. You can go get it, but
so he wants to get his kit to see if he can save her. And he says, nah, she's done. It's a headshot. And that's what he threatened her with. So he had it in his mind, I'm going to shoot you right in the fucking face if you pour that hot water in my direction.
That's a headshot. God damn it. God. Dude, I'm not taking fucking boiling water to the fucking head. And look, it fucking came right to our feet, too.
Came to our feet. Why did it come to your feet? It came to your feet because she's dead and the pot probably spilled. Yeah, she didn't throw that. She cowered. The minute you pulled your fucking gun, she cowered. She was no threat to you whatsoever. And that is powerful, powerful evidence.
You good? You good? Good? Yeah, I'm good. Holster down. Let her fucking just. There's not what you can do, man.
Let her just what? Let her just what? Let her just bleed out? Is that what you were going to say? You didn't render aid. See, you had this countertop all in between them. There was no danger to these cops. Take a step back. I mean, what? It's not like you have a barricaded suspect in a house with a rifle. I mean,
well, I mean, what else do we do?
There's a lot of other things you could do. If you think that the only thing you could do is give her a face shot like you said you were going to do.
Talk a little bit about where do they typically aim? Center mass, right?
Yeah. Typically, what they aim is center mass, because you don't want to miss, right? So if you hit center mass, like right here in the chest, that's typically where they aim. But he told her ahead of time he was going to shoot her in the head, in the face more specifically. And you know what? She had trouble getting her name. She had trouble figuring out why they were there. She had trouble following commands. Why in the fuck wouldn't you just take a step back? Okay, ma'am, just hold on and do something different. What could be lost by doing it? Your balls? Did your balls get somehow smaller because you didn't shoot a suspect?
1078.
Still bleeding. And how much time has gone by now? And you still haven't rendered aid at all?
I'll go get my med kit. I mean, I mean, there's not much we can do.
Yeah, fuck is right. Is right. You just shot somebody for no good reason. And I know we're going to get some blowback on this saying, oh, you know, she could have killed them with that boiling pot of water. No, she couldn't have. Could she burn them? Yeah, she could have burned them. But all they had to do was take one step outside. It's all they had to do. She wasn't a suspect in any respect. It's not like she was posing a danger to anybody else. I rebuke you in the name of Jesus. That's all she said. And then he pulls his gun and she says, I'm sorry, and cowers. That is powerful evidence. She was no longer a threat at that point. Wrong door. You need to get in the back door. Sit down and put your hands behind your back.
Do we got any call history with her being 1096?
Look up 1096.
A mental person being dealt with by an officer.
He just asked if she was 1096, which is a mental person being dealt with by an officer. So in other words, do we have any history of her being mentally unfit or something?
They knew that. That was the setup.
And he knows that.
Anyway, I told you.
He knew. I mean, he was impatient with her.
I told they knew that. They knew damn well they was going to use she was a mental patient to begin with. That's why they had to bait her in. That's why they kept trying to get her to get ID. They wanted to get frustrated. That didn't work. They wanted her to do some erratic motions in her purse. She didn't do that. So then they said, fuck it. Go get that. The house don't need to burn down. Get that hot pot of water off the stove. She went to that. Okay, they used that. And then they killed her. And then they knew they was going to say she was mentally ill. And she came at us. We had to do it. But the video show otherwise.
With her to begin with. He didn't deal with her, you know, as you should. And this is what happens when you don't have the right education and training.
And she didn't know that car back there was hers.
Yeah, she didn't even know that car was hers. Probably a woman that was really loved by the neighborhood, you know, a fixture in the neighborhood, somebody that, you know, oh, you know, Mrs. Massey, you know, she baked some cookies for me the other day, or you know, or the woman that everybody looks out for, you know. I mean, she seemed harmless, unless she's going to rebuke you in the name of Jesus.
I will explain why. Negative. She's in the kitchen.
Still hasn't rendered one bit of aid to this woman.
Real hustle by these officers. They're walking to the car. I mean,
Just Sergeant, who, no. Let's just chill out here. Just Sarge right now.
Are you guys secure?
Yeah, we're secure.
That covered?
No, it's just her in the house. She's 1096.
Funny how he doesn't pull the medical kit out until the other people are there.
Is there anything you think we can do for her? No. All right. I'm not even going to waste my med stuff then. You want to run down real quick?
Nope. Waste my med stuff. She's not worth trying to save.
All right. House is clear. She was the only one.
Where's the gun?
No, she had a boiling water and came
Where's the gun?
at me with boiling water.
You shot her?
Yeah. She said she was going to rebuke me in the name of Jesus and came out with boiling water. That's what all this is.
She did not come at you.
Lie.
She did not come at you at all. She cowered and said, I'm sorry.
I was standing right here.
All right.
And that's where he's landed.
What do y'all need from us?
Just nothing right now. Just hang out there for me. Thank you.
I need crime scene around the place that house.
He just forever changed his life and her life and the life of his family.
Just couldn't pull it off. He was going to try it premeditated. He had it all down pat. It just didn't work this time.
But other than that, that's I think it.
Anything else suspect?
B.
I didn't know what happened.
Tell me he doesn't feel alone at this moment because he knows he's in deep shit. He knows. He knows. See all those other officers around? Those people have careers. He doesn't have a career anymore.
Yeah, I'm good. This fucking bitch is crazy.
Fucking bitch is crazy. I mean, listen to the callousness.
His partner,
fucking bitch
his
is crazy.
partner had his body cam on. If his partner would have knew he was gonna kill that lady, he would have had his body cam on. He accidentally left it on. That's how we get to see it. If he didn't have his body cam on, he would get away with this murder. And that's why they like, shit, you on your own, because damn, the body camera show different. They know he lying. His partner know he lying. Everybody, his partner like, yeah, she came at me with the water. Like, bitch, what? I got it on video that didn't happen.
It's crazy. What callousness. He just got done shooting somebody who was vulnerable. A vulnerable adult that posed no threat to him whatsoever. She had a pot of hot boiling water. Rebuke you in the name of Jesus.
They rebuke in the name of Jesus. Hurt. I'm trying to tell you,
you
white people know that's tough. They like, oh, even the white bigots like, oh shoot, we can't. Oh man, she rebuked him in the name of Jesus. Can we go against this? Yeah, can you, sinner? She rebuked the demon in the name of Jesus. Then he showed the whole world how demonic he was and killed that lady. After she said, oh, I apologize, and crouched down, he murdered her and did the. See, he fucking it up for him. He ran their plot when he went. They like, oh no, don't do that. That's how we get away with shit. You can't get away with this.
And she's a fucking bitch, according to him.
There's a couple things I want you to address really quick. So let's talk about, this is obviously murder one, premeditated. There's going to be something what we call aggravating factors.
Come on, man. It's supposed to be a Christian nation. That's why they can't, man. I'm telling you, it's high ups. Like, oh no, man, the whole world watching, man. We can't let a woman get murdered in it. She done rebuked the white cop in the name of Jesus, man. They can't side with the demon, can they? Huh? They like, oh fuck. They wish they would have cut that out of their audio, though. They could have cut out the rebuke in the name of Jesus. They would have ran with it.
Full response to she's not worth the med kit. And then, like, refusing, oh, she's already bleeding from the head. She's still breathing, but can you talk about how that could aggravate maybe a sentence possibly?
Well, if it's murder one, it's going to be life without. So,
yeah.
So you can't really aggravate much more than that.
Oh, I guess.
He gonna wind up
but it goes to the callousness. It goes to the respect for life. It goes to his intent. You know, and he has the indifference before and after the shooting.
He's got tape.
I think I got a roll.
They got something coming up.
They letting that killer walk around, man. What a good cop said. Feel like a bunch of bad cops to me letting that killer walk around. They ain't arrested.
You got enough? If not, I got a roll.
Funny how he's putting up the crime scene tape for his own crime.
Man, this may be one of the worst ones I've never seen, bro. I mean, I done seen a lot. We done seen a lot of innocent black people, you know. I'm trying, but this may rebuke you in the name of Jesus, and then the demon, you better not, and then kill her. Oh, Lord have mercy. Goodness. That is a gift wrap, man. That's why they got his ass so quick. They're like, come on, man. She rebuked you and you killed her?
Pardon my French. I'm swearing a lot in this video, and I apologize. We'll probably bleep some of these out.
A lot.
You know, I'm just so incensed at this tragedy. It's just so terrible.
Running across the front here. Where do you want it?
Just around the
He
house.
done turned the lady into a saint now.
Yes, you can go inside.
Okay. Grab the bottom.
That's good.
Yeah.
Take it off at the front.
Find a blue blood for cup.
All right, we're just got to the garbage cans.
Yep.
So, all right, now let's cut to the press conference, because when you see somebody like that, you think you got to personalize them, right? If you're a trial lawyer, that's what you do. But she's not just some crazy woman. She isn't. She's somebody's relative. She's somebody's daughter. She's somebody's sister, somebody's mother, somebody's whatever. She means something to people in the neighborhood, to her family. So let's hear the father speak.
But you know what I want? I want justice for my baby.
Yeah. Yes, sir.
You killed the wrong black woman this time.
Amen. Amen. Amen.
Not a fan of Crump. I mean, he just swoops in and steals their money.
People of Sangamon County have been great. But I want to tell y'all, the sheriff is here is an embarrassment. Because this man should have never had a badge. He should have never had a gun. He should have never been given the opportunity to kill my child. Because
given the attitude that he displayed, I don't disagree with that at all.
Because he had some serious blemishes on his record. Serious. This man had 2 convictions for DUI. He had a conviction for driving under the influence. And he was a member of law enforcement.
My Lord.
What an embarrassment. What an embarrassment to this country.
How do you have a job as a cop if you've had 2 DWIs?
To this county.
And the reason I showed you that is because you see the people standing there, except for Crump. That's the family. Those are the people that matter. You know, and maybe she wasn't an elderly woman at all. I mean, I just I couldn't really see her face, and she just seemed like she was elderly, but maybe she was. I mean, if that was his daughter, you know, she probably wasn't, but maybe she was 1096, as the cop said. You know, it's just, there's just too much of this shit going on. And it's because the cops are not trained. They're not trained in mental health. They're not trained. They don't have a 4-year degree. Not that a 4-year degree is the end all and be all, but if you have a 4-year degree, you're a little bit older when you do your skills. You're a little bit older. You have a little more experience. You have a little more maturity than when you just start a cop fresh out of high school, and just with your skills and your 2-year degree. I think you should have a degree in psychology or police psychology, because you're dealing with the public and you're dealing with lives, you know, and I know I'm going on a soapbox here, but she posed no danger to these cops. You know, I mean, why not just run out of the house and just say, okay, lady, blah, blah, blah. But she cowered and said, I'm sorry. And he still shot anyway. He still shot her in the head, just like he said he was going to do. My heart goes out to this family because they lost, you know, a loved one for nothing. She called the cops. Remember what the other cop said? Where's the gun? Because you fight a gun with a gun. You know, you got a pot of water, well, back off and go outside. Or when she cowers, you can take a step back and say, put it down, put it down, put it down. You know, she had trouble following directions. Anyway, I could go on and on and on and on. But we're going to wrap this up. But
has opened an investigation into the death of a Black woman in Illinois who called 911 for help. only to be shot and killed by a responding deputy. NBC News correspondent Maggie Vespa has the details and a warning. Some viewers may find this video extremely upsetting and disturbing.
I heard somebody outside.
Yeah, we checked your house, we checked your backyard. I walked all the way through all these backyards.
An Illinois woman's last moments seen in chilling detail on newly released body camera video. Prosecutors say on the morning of July 6th, 36-year-old Sonya Massey called 911 about a possible intruder. When two deputies arrived at her Springfield home, she at times appeared confused.
I'm trying to get help, y'all, but
What do you need help with?
nothing. I just, please God, please God.
Minutes later, Massey picks up what appears to be a pot of boiling water from her stove. The deputy on screen identified by prosecutors as Sean Grayson.
You better I swear to God, I'll shoot you right in your face.
Okay, I'm sorry.
Drop the pot! Drop the pot! Drop the
19 shots fired.
Shots fired! Shots fired!
The coroner confirming the mother of two was fatally shot in the head. Her body blurred by police in the video.
I'm not taking hot boiling water to face.
Protests demanding charges against Deputy Grayson have mounted since. President Biden this week writing in a statement, Sonia's family deserves justice.
He walked around the counter to get a better shot. If you're in fear for your life, you don't walk towards the person.
Civil rights attorney Ben Crump speaking alongside Massey's family, who say she'd suffered from mental health issues.
But you know what I want? I want justice for my baby.
Yeah.
Grayson was fired from his job with the sheriff's department, and a grand jury has now indicted him on 3 counts of first-degree murder. His attorney declining to comment when reached by NBC News. Now the world seeing for themselves how one woman's call for help took such a tragic turn.
What is your last
Reverend Now, your thoughts? There's a lot of reporting coming out of this about what was actually said at the scene when others came to see what happened and family members showed up, what they were told versus what was seen on that body
This
cam.
Chandler don't give a damn. He promised all of us George Floyd bill. He made a bunch of money, preached that George Floyd service, which I thought was hypocrisy, that this man stand over somebody's dead body like that and act like he preaching. But the family decided to do that. That's on them. So now here he go. See, I told you that they want votes out of this. See, only Kamala and Joe could help us get the George Floyd. Man, y'all had y'all chance. We own to this. Is lady name is Sonya Massey. We don't want to hear y'all gonna get us a George Floyd bill passed. That's a hustle. That's a scam. Reverend Al don't not give a shit about any of that. They rubbing their hands like Birdman trying to get some votes out of this shit. Disgusting.
Video.
No, this is an outrage is almost an understatement. I mean, it's almost an execution to see a woman stand there with hot water that he told her to take off the stove, and then he shoots her, comes around the counter to shoot her. I mean, this is the worst video I've seen, and I'm saying I did George Floyd's funeral and the marches. Right. And this is even worse. I know that I talked with the father, Mr. Wilburn, on yesterday with Attorney Ben Crump, Attorney General of Black America. We're going to be rallying. She had 2 children, and we're having a rally in Chicago with Reverend Marshall Hatch and Ira Ackrey on Tuesday to rally around her children and to give them some support. That I'll be going into Chicago with Reverend Hatch and Ackrey to support Mr. Wilbur and her father and her 2 children. The policeman has been indicted and been prosecuted.
This nigga go there, he wired. You see, I told people him and Benjamin Crump wearing wires. This man is known for wearing wires from the government. It came out that he wore a wire when Tupac got shot. He went to the hospital with a wire on, asking about Assad. His sister shot all right? Everything okay? Wired up. Wanted Tupac to say the wrong thing. He worked for the government then. He go to every place these families, somebody done died. The government want to know how we really feel. Had they called Reverend, had they got with Farrakhan, had they talked to the new Black Panther Party, his cult fiction, all of it's in it. Don't reach out to any revolutionaries. This man go there wired to find that out. What the hell do the fact? I'm going to go there to be with the father. What the hell do you need to be there for? Because you need to get everything on tape. That's why.
But That
in case some uncles, some cousins, some brothers, some real riders the government want to know.
Is the first step toward justice, and we want to see that these children are handled and see the support and feel the support of the community.
All right, Rev, of course, we will be following this story.
All them bodies dropping in Chicago. This your first time going, brother? Them blackface Ku Klux Klan members are shooting women in the face and all kind of shit in Chicago. Al, you ain't caught a flat. You was an ambulance chaser, man. I don't get so tired of this dude, man. That's serious damn business, man. They roll his no good ass out every time our pain and suffering. Here you go. I'm gonna go there and I'm gonna make sure. Nigga, please. You putting your life on line, Al. Keep on playing.
Sonya Pruitt, founder of police reform advocacy group Black Police Experience, and retired captain of the Montgomery County, Maryland Police Department. Sonya, thank you so much for coming on the show. First, just like to get your reaction to the body cam video of Sonya Massey being shot and killed in her own home.
Thank you for having me. And first, my condolences to the Massey family and their loved ones. This was a really tragic incident that really could have been avoided. There was clearly a mental health element. We have a young woman calling for the police, ostensibly to check for a prowler, perhaps. And then the deputies come, and then she becomes someone who's under suspicion. I'm going to jump right to it. This woman asked for help. The deputies came. They have a conversation with her. There is something going on with the conversation where you might summarize or surmise that maybe there is a mental health element. And so now I know that, and I'm going to treat this person, this human being, with that in mind. But instead, when Miss Massey goes to her kitchen, she takes a pot off the stove, a pot of supposedly boiling water, the deputy becomes defensive. And then she becomes someone who is under suspicion. I have an issue with officers who put themselves in harm's way. In this case, the deputy asks or orders Miss Massey to put the pot down. She seems confused. She's trying to, like, what am I supposed to do? And the next thing you know, he has shot her. But if you are concerned about a boiling pot of water and you're an officer and you're in the space that he was in, why not retreat? The analogy for me is when officers want to hang on to the frame of a car door or put themselves in front of a moving vehicle and then expect that they can use lethal force because they placed themselves in this situation and it created this escalation instead of de-escalation. And that is what I see here.
What would have been the appropriate response in this situation? She starts saying, that she rebukes Satan or the devil, and it seems like she's still there with the pot. What would you have liked to have seen the officers do?
So if I see that she's picked up a boiling pot of water, I might just say, Miss Massey, and talk to her gently, please put that down. She looked as though she was trying to comply with whatever it was the deputy was saying, but maybe she became confused. And those, I'm going to jump a little bit forward about training. Are we training our law enforcement to recognize humanity when they respond to calls for service? Everybody is not out to kill the police. Everyone is not out to attack the police. Sometimes people are going through something. They don't deserve to die because they cannot make a split-second decision, which is what law enforcement asks the citizenry of this country to do. Allow for us to make a split-second decision.
The Massey family attorney, Ben Crump, told ABC News that the 36-year-old struggled with mental health. And far too often, we see these types of encounters turn violent or deadly when mental health is at play, particularly for people of color. What do you think the solution is with that?
That's a great question. So, Black people are killed by police at twice the rate of white people, doing the most mundane of things, watching television, playing, in the case of Tatiana Jefferson in Texas, playing with her nephew and thinking there's a prowler outside and picking up her gun because she wants to protect her family. It just seems that more and more, or at least we're noticing it more and more, Black people are not allowed that grace. And law enforcement has not been batting an eyelid, which is concerning to me. Okay, so what we need is a commitment from law enforcement.
I tell y'all they're gonna do this. These people don't give a shit about this till it's time to vote. How many times I got to point this out? They don't care. This happened all year long until it's election time. They don't give a shit. As soon as election time, oh, it's on the Democratic platform, and they gonna be tough on police. Yeah, fucking right.
Enforcement. We need to focus on some other things like training on equity, what service actually means, and what humanity looks like. That is the training that will save lives. And I think that the public is asking for that.
Sonia Pruitt, we thank you.
We need to work on training. We need to work on training. We need to work on training. This is the same lady that say she's staying with Israel. What the hell you talking about? Israel is training them, man. See? Y'all can't have it. Y'all can't have it both ways, man. Y'all want to work on training? Well, then fire Israel. But if you don't want to fire Israel, then you don't work on no damn training. All right, y'all. We got to.
They got what they asked for.
It is time for us to do what we have been doing, and that time is every day. Every day it is time for us to agree.
Talking about the significance of the passage of time, right? The significance of the passage of time. So when you think about it, there is great significance to the passage of time.
I am here, standing here on the northern flank, on the eastern flank, talking about what we have in terms of the eastern flank and our NATO allies.
It is a country in Europe. It exists next to another country called Russia. Russia is a bigger country. Russia is a powerful country. Russia decided to invade a smaller country called Ukraine. So basically that's wrong.
We've been to the border.
You haven't been to the border.
And I haven't been to Europe. And I mean, I don't know.
We must together work together to see where we are headed, where we are going, and our vision for where we should be, but also see it as a moment, yes, to together address the challenges.
We have the ability to see what can be, unburdened by what has been, and then to make the possible actually happen. What is at stake at this very moment? What is at stake this very moment are some of the guiding principles around the NATO alliance. As it relates to what we need to do domestically, as well as what we need to do in terms of this issue generally, we have, as the president said, reevaluated what we're doing.
Based on what we've just been able to see, and because we've seen it or not doesn't mean it hasn't happened.
Stupid that rolls off that woman's tongue is just, it's mind-boggling, and yet it is just impressive. I mean, it's absolutely impressive. How can anybody use so many words and say so little of substance, of complete, I mean, it's just ridiculous. Anyway, hey, thanks so much for joining me here at Courageous Army. We have a great show for you today. So Joe Biden is out. I do not believe it's of his own volition. I think he was forced out. And please check out my video where we talk that very fact with Megyn Kelly. She had very similar thoughts as to what I've been thinking. But Joe Biden is out based on the letter that was penned and signed by somebody and posted to X, and the follow-on X post where Joe Biden, under his account, has endorsed Kamala Harris. Well, the Trump campaign has wasted no time. They are on top of this stuff. They are all over it. I wanted you to see that little compilation of some of the ridiculous things that Kamala Harris has said in her time running for president and as vice president when she was running the nomination. Before we play this Trump ad, which is absolutely on fire, is breaking the internet, you have got to see this. And so now, without further ado, check this out.
She covered up Joe's obvious mental decline.
Our president is in good shape, in good health, tireless, vibrant, and I have no doubt about the strength of the work that we have done.
But Kamala knew Joe couldn't do the job, so she did it. Look what she got done. A border invasion, runaway inflation, the American dream dead. They created this mess. No, Kamala owns this failed record. Make America Great Again Inc. is responsible for the content of
And
this.
then they saying she just picked up VP Shapiro, a Jewish governor from, I think, from Pennsylvania. The Jewish governor from Pennsylvania is going to be the first Jewish guy running to be the vice president. I think Joe Lieberman ran, but so Shapiro, the Jewish guy, that's pretty good. Him, his Jewish family will be the vice president, and then her and her Jewish family, they trying to be president. Wow, I wonder what's going on here.
This advertising.
Well, it's been in the making for some time now. The Democrats have been in derision ever since the debate, actually before the debate, because the debate was a setup. Let's be honest. The debate was an absolute setup of Joe Biden to make him fail, but make him fail early enough that they had time, being the Democrat elites, to exit him out of the race. Now they might be stuck with Kamala Harris because Obama, Hakeem Jeffries, and Schumer have not yet endorsed Kamala because she was never their plan. No, the Democrat elites wanted to soft pedal this right into an open convention, quietly, discreetly. Their goal was for Joe Biden to step down. When they approached him the first time, was for him to step down quietly, and they could just quietly go into an open convention, manipulate the delegates, and they would get to pick their own nominee without any Democrat process, without any voter involvement. But because Joe Biden hates Obama, just like Obama hates Biden, and Biden has been seething behind the scenes. He has been sequestered in his Delaware home and told to shut up and sit down like a little dunce in the corner. And he is angry. And that's why I believe you had the letter that was posted to X, basically Joe Biden supposedly saying that he's withdrawing from the race, followed minutes later by a post, but nothing about Kamala other than thanks for her service. Followed very closely a few minutes later by a post where he openly endorses Kamala. The reason for that is because it was a stick in the eye of Obama, because Obama now does not get to quietly walk into his open convention and pick the candidate that the Democrat elites want. No, now they have a Kamala Harris who was already talking about being angry about possibly being passed over for a Gavin Newsom or somebody else. Now she is front and center, endorsed by Biden. And remember, now those who wanted Biden to stay in have lined up and endorsed Kamala along with him, with two notable additions, Nancy Pelosi and Hillary Clinton. That's a question I have yet to answer. I don't know why they have aligned themselves against Obama. I'm not sure on that one. But Obama has not endorsed Kamala. The donors have not endorsed Kamala. Schumer and Hakeem Jeffries have not endorsed Kamala. So we've got what's shaping up to be a Democrat continuance of the Civil War. But I wanted you to see that Trump ad because it's absolutely spot on. That coupled with Kamala's continuous cackling and stupid statements. And remember how she was taken down in the debate by Tulsi Gabbard 4 years ago in 2020, when Gabbard absolutely owned her over her record as AG and prosecutor. She absolutely owned her for putting black men in prison, holding them beyond their sentence date, withholding exculpatory evidence. Kamala Harris is dirty and her record is ugly, which is why, check out our video, RFK Jr. has said she's borderline unelectable. So I wanted you to see that ad because that ad is dope and realize that if Kamala is their nominee, there will be
I vote for who will win. And for whatever reason, Harris has never been popular.
You can count the number of delegates she won in the 2020 primaries on one hand, as long as that hand has no fingers.
Bill Maher just gave a brutal reality check to Kamala Harris and the Democrats at a time when the media and the liberal base are circling the wagons for her. They're saying she's an amazing candidate. You've heard this talking point that the Trump campaign is really scared to run against Kamala. Bill Maher speaks the truth and points out, A, she's an astroturfed candidate. B, nobody likes her. Are we just forgetting the fact that she completely collapsed in 2020? And C, I guess I'll add this. She's very radical in terms of her politics. So check this out, folks. I think this is a hilarious segment that demonstrates why liberals are really not happy with Bill Maher at the moment. But folks, if you enjoy the content, be sure to hit that like button, subscribe if you are new. And without further ado, check this out. Bill Maher gives an assessment of Kamala Harris.
I just want to be your guide here and tell you what the choices are. Kamala Harris, vice president, will get all of Biden's campaign money. And on the Democrats' best issue, abortion, she's a walking reminder to women that Republicans are coming for the abortion pill. She won't just protect Plan B. She is Plan B. And as a former prosecutor, Kamala was putting criminals in jail back before liberals decided that was a bad thing. And now that CVS is locking the shaving cream behind plexiglass, Democrats are coming around to her again. Harris would be the first woman president, first black woman president, and first Asian president. But I don't vote for who will be the first. I vote for who will win. And for whatever...
You heard that at first. You're like, oh, the liberals are going to be happy. He's praising Kamala. He's doing the talking points. Here you go, though.
I vote for who will win. And for whatever reason, Harris has never been popular. You can count the number of delegates she won in the 2020 primaries on one hand, as long as that hand has no fingers.
True.
In 3 years as vice president, she's been quieter than an electric car. And like an electric car, your MAGA uncle can't explain why she fills him with homicidal rage. She just does. Sometimes life isn't fair. It's not fair that she's not popular. She's intelligent and accomplished, and in fact, was put in charge of the border. And look at how... Okay, bad example. Gavin Newsom is the governor of California.
Yeah, and that's the thing to understand. I'm not saying Republicans should get complacent. We certainly should not underestimate, I'm not going to say not underestimate Kamala, but underestimate the power of the Democrat machine to prop her up. But that's important to point out. She is completely astroturfed. She is propped up. She has never won a single delegate in a presidential primary ever. She gained, I believe, 0.5% of the entire Democrat primary vote in 2020. And let's not forget that. She is the type of person who, yes, would be installed based on no merit. Yes, she is a DEI appointment, and that's what she is, an appointment to the Democratic nomination, but never the type of person who would win an actual Democrat primary. And we saw that. We saw how spectacularly she collapsed the last time she tried to run. People seem to forget that. I think most Republicans forget that, and probably Democrats as well. They just choose, the Democrats choose to pretend like they don't remember it, but I think you see the evidence right here of just how astroturfed Kamala Harris really is, because let's go to a tweet from our favorite liberal doppelganger of me, Victor Shi. This is a big Biden influencer for people who are not familiar, and he tweeted this out today. He says, holy cow, completely packed stadium for VP Kamala Harris on her first campaign stop as the presumptive Democrat nominee in Wisconsin right now. People... Read this line right here. People are so fired up, energized, and ready to support Kamala Harris. So, wow, you're thinking it's a completely packed stadium? How big is this? We'll take a video. Take a look at this video. Check it out and see for yourself. Yeah, so spoiler, in case you cannot tell, that is a high school gym. And I'll give them this. It's a bigger high school gym than normal. Okay, it's a decent crowd size in comparison to what Biden was getting. But at the same time, a completely packed stadium, really? Is this the affirmative action? Is this the DEI version of a packed stadium? Because that's barely a stadium, okay? A high school gym, I guess maybe is technically a stadium. I don't know. Nobody calls it a stadium. But this is exactly, again, a prime example of how propped up Kamala Harris is. The Democrat influencers, the media are going to celebrate her because she's a DEI pick. Oh my gosh, she's so heroic. She's so brave. She's so diverse. But unfortunately for them, I think it is coming true. They are going to be in for a rude awakening in November because all that talk about first female black president, maybe people in 2008 when it came to Obama somewhat bought that line, but you saw even in 2016 Hillary Clinton going around and calling everyone sexist every 2 seconds if you did not support her. Hillary Clinton saying you should vote for me because I'm a woman. Yes, I'm with her. That did not work for her back in 2016, and she was arguably a much more talented politician even than Kamala Harris is. And by the way, Kamala Harris is also a lot more propped up than Hillary ever was. Now, they do have some similarities, yes. To some degree, Hillary was also propped up. Hillary was a person who ran in 2008, really struggled. She blew her lead, essentially, in the 2008 primary against Obama because she was not likable. But come 2016, she essentially was given...
Without Obama, Hillary would have won. Without Obama, Hillary would have been the fucking president. Without Trump, Hillary would have been president. Hillary was a very talented politician. So they can't take that from her. She cutthroat. But you needed two phenomenons, Obama and Trump, to beat Hillary. So
the party mandate. In some ways, you could argue they skewed the Democrat primary against Bernie Sanders to make sure he didn't win. So Hillary was somewhat propped up. She was somewhat untalented and an affirmative action hire of a politician. And you saw what happened to her. Well, now it is 2024. The national environment, the political climate in the country, first of all, already unfavorable to Democrats as it is. But on top of that, Kamala Harris is infinitely more propped up than Hillary Clinton ever was. At least Hillary Clinton, whatever you think of the way the Democrats conducted the 2016 primary, Hillary actually won the delegates. Kamala Harris did not fight for the delegates. She did not win. She never would. So again, you can prop up Kamala as much as you want. But the sheer fact of the matter is this, as Bill Maher himself brings up, the people don't actually like her.
CNN and MSNBC have revealed nightmare polling numbers for Kamala Harris. Now, before I play both of these clips for you, I just want to take a moment to say that this is proof that the excitement you're seeing online is just temporary, just a honeymoon period. By all appearances, no establishment Democrats are actually excited for Kamala Harris. The clearest example of this was this morning when Chuck Schumer came out to officially endorse Kamala, and he had his very own please clap moment. Take a look.
Vice President Harris will beat Donald Trump and become the next president of the United States of America. Applause. Hakeem.
I just love how no one clapped even after he begged for applause. Keep in mind, he made this endorsement in...
Nobody wouldn't even clap. They supposed to cheer. Yay, Kamala. No, everybody know, like, man, this some bullshit.
Washington, D.C. itself. So if Democrats are having trouble building enthusiasm and excitement in one of the deepest blue areas of the country, it is going to be a disaster for Democrats nationwide. In fact, Jason Miller, the Trump campaign's senior advisor, went on Fox News this morning to reveal new polling numbers, including polling numbers from top Democrat strategists, and things are looking as bad as ever for the Democrats. Take a look at this.
Yeah, I think Congressman Swalwell needs to look at the polling numbers. I mean, not only is President Trump defeating Kamala Harris in battleground states such as Pennsylvania, where he's ahead by 6, or in Arizona, where he's ahead by 8. And by the way, that's according to Democrat pollster PPP. So Congressman Swalwell should look at the polling numbers. But even today, brand new polling showing President Trump continues to lead Kamala Harris in New Hampshire, a very traditionally blue state. There's also new polling out today from Harris showing President Trump up 10 nationally. So Democrats are a bit of jumping out of the frying pan into the fire, and they may have gotten rid of one problem with Joe Biden, but they've inherited a whole new problem with Kamala Harris.
Look, you would expect the Trump campaign to be the most bullish about President Trump. After all, the campaign should be the biggest cheerleader for their candidate. But the numbers actually back up what they're saying. According to 538, Trump is ahead of Kamala Harris 48 to 46%. This is an aggregate of all the most reliable polls in the country. And according to Real Clear Politics' polling average, Trump is ahead 1.9%. And when you take a look at the polls that measure likely voters, like the CBS News poll, those tend to be better for Trump. Trump is up 3. And remember, the election is based on the Electoral College, which historically favors Republicans. So if Trump is winning the national vote, then it should be a landslide in the Electoral College. Of course, do not take any of this for granted. We need to get out there and vote, but this is exciting. I would much rather be in Trump's position than Kamala's. In fact, the New York Times, they assembled their top 10 most prolific political analysts, and they created this chart. On the right side, who would beat Trump, on the left side, who's the most risky choice. And you see that Kamala is the worst out of the top 10 Democrats that they analyzed. This is according to the New York Times, not a conservative outfit, and they tend to try to influence Democrats. So this warning coming from the New York Times for the Democrats, big eye opener. But perhaps the biggest eye opener are the segments from MSNBC and CNN admitting that there are nightmare polling numbers for Kamala Harris. Take a look at what Steve Kornacki had to say on MSNBC.
Does Kamala Harris fare against the former president?
I mean, the short answer is not really any better. Take a look at this. This is the average of all the polls you're talking about there since the debate that tested Kamala Harris against Donald Trump. Trump 47%, Harris 46%.
Now remember, this is her without her record and everything being tested. They already said that. Now, as all this information come out about her, it's only going to get worse. They praying that she can survive a debate, but it could be worse for her if she is cackling and laughing and not making sense. That won't be no shining moment.
And in this same set of polls, when it was Joe Biden, 47% for Trump and 45% for Biden. So the Democratic number on average goes up from 45 to 46. But I think it underscores for Democrats, they view this move as something that's going to improve their chances in the general election. That is based more on hope than it is on the numbers right now.
More based on hope than it is on the numbers. Look, if you're like me, you're probably getting nervous seeing all this excitement happening online, building for Kamala Harris. But remember, the Democrats have essentially been running a cadaver this entire time. Kamala has quite literally breathed life into the campaign. So this momentum shift we are all sensing is not actually a Democrat tidal wave. It's just we now have actual opposition on the other side. This is a honeymoon period. Expect that energy level to come down. And MSNBC goes deeper into this when they take a look at favorability, unfavorability ratings, and things look even worse for Kamala. Take a look.
Because you go another level deep in this, and you've got the favorable, unfavorable, basic impression people have of these candidates here. For Joe Biden, look, these numbers have looked like this for a long time. Very, very bad numbers. 36 favorable, 57 unfavorable. Again, this in average of polls over the last month. So what's the difference with Kamala Harris? Again, not much of a difference from 36 favorable to 38, 57 unfavorable down to 52, but that's still a majority of voters saying they have an unfavorable impression of Kamala Harris. Throw up Donald Trump's numbers there for comparison. He's at 41 favorable, 55 unfavorable. All three of these figures with majorities of voters saying they are unfavorably impressed by them.
Now, here's the thing. According to that chart, it looks like Kamala is a little more popular. Her unfavorable numbers are a little lower than Trump's, but keep in mind, she hasn't been the focus this entire time. Not only has she not been the focus of the campaign, she has not been the focus during the entire last 4 years. All of the Republican attacks have been against Joe Biden because Kamala, I mean, she's a vice president in name only. Sure, she's the border czar, but she hasn't done anything. So once the attack ads start running, once the Republicans start bringing out the big messaging attacks on her, expect her unfavorable numbers to go way up. And it'll get worse the closer we get to the DNC. But it's not just MSNBC. CNN, their very own Harry Enton, essentially confirmed the same thing based on the unfavorability numbers. Take a look at this.
CNN senior data reporter Harry Enton joining me now to run the numbers. There is a lot of excitement. We have not seen this kind of shift in tone from the Democrats in particular. I can't remember a time where we've been through something like this.
But here is the thing, Sarah Seidner, for all of the excitement that Democrats have over Kamala Harris, it is going to be difficult to beat Donald Trump, and I want to give you an understanding of why. Let's take a look here just first at the favorable views of Donald Trump. We know that Donald Trump has historically been unpopular, but take a look now. After the Republican National Convention, in the ABC News Ipsos poll, he recorded his highest ever favorable rating at 40%. That's not a one-off. Take a look at the Quinnipiac University poll, 46%. That's the highest ever in that pollster. The fact is, Donald Trump is more popular now than he ever has been before. So yes, Democrats can make this switcheroo, but they're still going to have to beat Donald Trump, a Donald Trump who is stronger, Sarah, than he has ever been before.
Come on,
and
man.
folks,
That's
don't
the
remember the bond that a lot of us have with Donald Trump. I think the assassination attempt really secured that bond for a lot of people, especially those who were on the fence or those who were undecided. Before, you know, if I got COVID or if I had a busy day at work, I might not go to the polls to vote. I would like to think that I would have. But now I know for a fact, for sure, that I would crawl over broken glass, walk through the fires of hell to cast my vote for President Trump. And I think a lot of people are the same way. If this election is going to be based on voter turnout, I definitely think the enthusiasm gap is huge and that the enthusiasm is on Trump's side. And here's the thing, Kamala Harris is historically unpopular. Don't forget that she dropped out of the Democrat primaries before votes were even cast because her campaign was doing so bad. So now Democrats are trying to reinvent her. They're trying to make her the weird kooky aunt that's weird but still likable. I don't think it's going to work. Again, just a honeymoon period. Wait until she starts sabotaging herself on the campaign trail, starts saying all these crazy statements, and really reveals how radical she is. Take a look at what Kornacki had to say about reintroducing Kamala Harris.
So again, from the Democratic standpoint here, they think Harris being reintroduced as a presidential candidate, getting a different look, they think these numbers can improve for her, both in the favorables and in the horse race against Trump. But we don't know. As you say, she has not really been tested. Her name never actually got to a primary ballot in 2020. She dropped out a couple months before that. So see how it goes over. Democrats hope these numbers will improve. There's also a possibility they don't. There's also a possibility this rollout does not go well.
Yeah, I mean, and you.
Yeah, it's been a historic rollout for Kamala. She's had record first day fundraising numbers. She's had all these Democrats come out in support. She looks to be consolidated.
Even the record fundraising was a scam. It's not like a bunch of people started donating. No, the big donors released the money that they held up for Biden. So that made it look, it's all smoke and mirror. That made it look like, oh man, a bunch of people get, no, that's not what happened.
Consolidating support. But don't forget that the Democrats have super delegates on their side. Sure, they believe in democracy. Sure, they're the party that is supposedly fighting to save democracy, yet they have delegates and super delegates. Not all votes are counted equal. And I personally don't think that Kamala is guaranteed to be the Democrat nominee. In fact, Jen Psaki said the same thing on MSNBC. Now, before I get into that, I just want to say that CNN also confirmed what Kornacki said in that last clip. Take a look at this segment.
Now, how is he doing relative to Harris, who did run at one point? What do those numbers look like?
Yeah, so let's take a look here, right? We've been focusing so much on how Harris was doing better than Biden in the polling, and that's true. If we take a look at the national average, what do we see? We see Donald Trump up by 1. That's a within the margin race, right? That's a close race. But remember, of course, in the national popular vote, Democrats tend to do better there than they've done in the Electoral College, at least when Donald Trump has been running for president. So last time around, when Joe Biden barely won in the Electoral College, he actually won the national popular vote by 4 points. So at this point, Donald Trump is running 5 points better. 5, that's a 5 of some sort. 5 points better than he was 4 years ago against Joe Biden. So at this particular point, whether you look at the favorable ratings, whether you look at the horse race polling, we see that Donald Trump is doing significantly better than he was doing 4 years ago at this point. Kamala Harris is going to have to do better than this, of course, if she wants to win the popular vote, but more than that, if she wants to win the Electoral College, where she'll likely have to outperform how she's done nationally, because the fact is, if you got to tie it in the national popular vote, that is probably not good enough if you're Kamala Harris and you want to win the election against.
Now, if there's one thing we know for sure when it comes to politics, it's that your premiere, the rollout of your campaign, is typically the highest you will ever poll. So these numbers are probably going to be the water high mark for Kamala Harris. Once Republicans sharpen their attack ads, once they expose her record, expect her favorability numbers, her poll numbers, to crater and her unfavorability to skyrocket. But compare that to President Trump, whose favorability numbers are higher than they've ever been, historic highs. He's polling 5 points better than he did in 2020. The momentum is clearly on his side. Again, do not celebrate, do not sit back and relax, do not take this for granted, but don't have a heart attack over it either. Just enjoy the process. Make sure you vote. Make sure your friends and family vote. Be active this campaign cycle. Now, here's the thing. I am not sure that Kamala Harris is actually going to be the DNC nominee, the Democrat nominee. It's not official until the DNC or until they officially vote. And remember, all these delegates coming out, they're just giving verbal commitments. None of that is legal. None of that is binding. And remember, the Democrats, the party of democracy, well, they have super delegates, and that could really change the tide. Here's what Jen Psaki had to say on MSNBC. It really got my attention.
But now the DNC and the Democratic Party they're going to run a process, is my understanding. And the process is going to be, the goal of it is to make the vice president look strong and be strong at the end of the process. So that means that's what we're going to see over the next couple of days. We'll learn a lot more about what that looks like.
What kind of a process? I mean, like a competition?
First of all, I just love how Rachel Maddow seems oh so offended and personally taken aback at the very suggestion that there might be a democratic process throughout this entire thing. And if you pay special attention to what Jen Psaki is saying, it's actually really terrifying, revealing, and alarming. Because the Democrat Party is looking more like North Korea. Jen Psaki is suggesting that the Democrats are going to choreograph this entire moment. They're going to choreograph something, whether it's a competition, a vetting process, to make Kamala Harris look stronger than she really is, to prove that she's back.
Revolutionary salute to our brother Out of Bondage for the $5 donation to the War Chest. Revolution is a real life. I absolutely appreciate the love, family. Salute to you.
Battle tested and ready to go against former President Donald Trump. Well, Democrats, hello. You guys were the ones who iced out all competition, blocked competition during the primaries. You guys are the ones who lied about Joe Biden's health. Then you stabbed him in the back over it. Now you're propping up Kamala. This whole thing has been choreographed. So there's no reason to doubt that there's more choreography to come. And that's why I don't buy that the DNC is going to go off without a hitch. I'm not convinced that she's going to be the nominee, even though things look like it. The DNC could very well turn out to be a circus. But as always, those are just my thoughts, my analysis, and I would love to hear your
No, Taraji. Now, you know I wouldn't do that, especially not to a fellow bison. The real HU, you know. So what's on your mind?
Oh, Madam VP Harris, I'm worried about the election. Women's reproductive rights are on the line. Our Supreme Court is on the line. Our basic freedoms are being tested, Madam VP. I know you've been traveling across the country. What are you hearing?
Yeah, girl, I'm out here in these streets. And let me tell you, you're right, Taraji. There is so much at stake in this moment. The majority of us believe in freedom and equality. But these extremists, as they say, they're not like us.
No, they not.
There's a full-on attack on our fundamental freedoms. The freedom to vote.
Yep.
The freedom to love who you love. The freedom to be safe from gun violence. The freedom for a woman to make decisions about her own body, not having her government tell her what to do.
Oh, hey, Kamala. Mrs. Always Hiding until election season. Oh, you out here in these streets, huh? What streets are you talking about? Because where you need to be is at the border, closing that shit. But instead, here you are pandering to the Black folks at the BET Awards. Even Taraji couldn't pull this role off. It's giving desperate. It's giving, I think Black people are stupid. Black folk, don't fall for this again. Trump 2024.
That's right, Black people. Don't fall for this again. It's reading desperate. You know the DMs like to pander to us every time it's election season. Welcome back, Warriors. It's me, Linda B. Don't forget to like, comment, share, subscribe, hit that notification bell, watch the video to the end. Let's get into it.
Before y'all Democrats start trying to play the race card, I want y'all to understand this. Kamala is not Black. Her kids is not Black. Her husband is not Black. She does not come from Black culture. So don't tell me I got to support Kamala Harris because she Black. The race pander from the Democratic Party got to stop. It's really that simple. Thank you for listening.
Oh my God, we're live. Excuse me. It is with deep regret that President Joe Biden has withdrawn his bid for the White House 2024. But this move proves we can be unburdened by what has been. So America, look up. Don't look down. For what was in is out, and what was out is now in. And the wheels on the bus go round and round.
Yeah, that's a Kamala speech.
Also, if I'm chosen as the Democrat Party's nominee for president 2024, I just want you to know, America, you can trust me. Kamala Harris, 2024. I won't blow it. No, not that one. I'm sorry. Take two. Kamala Harris, 2024. I won't suck. No, I'm sorry, not that one either. Take three. Kamala Harris, 2024. I'll work hand and knee. That's the one. That's it. That's the one. Oh God, I'm not ready.
Woo! Wonder what she meant when she said, I won't blow it. Oops, not that one. I won't suck. I'll work hand and knee. You know how Kamala made it up to the top. I always say this is how you get 2 legs up. We don't want to climb that ladder. Wow, guys, these people in these streets, they don't want Kamala Harris. They're saying, stop pandering. Black folks have finally woken up. We recognize the pandering and the race baiting. That's the same strategy the slave owners did on the plantation. Use a Black person to keep the other Black people subjugated. That's right. They're still doing it. That same demon rat party from yesteryear. The party's never switched, though they want you to believe that because the DMs control the public school system. So they're making you think things that are not true. Remember that. Let's get back into some more people who hate Kamala Harris.
Remember when you asked me why I didn't vote for Kamala Harris and how could I be so anti-Black woman? Let me show you.
She put over 1,500 people in jail for marijuana violations and then laughed about it when she was asked if she ever smoked marijuana. She blocked evidence. She blocked evidence that would have freed an innocent man from death row until the courts forced her to do so. She kept people in prison beyond their sentences to use them as cheap labor for the state of California. And she fought to keep cash bail system in place that impacts poor people in the worst kind of way.
Thank you. So while you were standing in line in your Chucks and Pearls, thinking that she was a Black woman because she went to all the right schools, she pledged right people because everybody knows that the Black vote is the unknown variant. That means that they truly show up for what it is that they support. And the Black community embraced and supported Kamala. When Kamala got in office, she told y'all that she wasn't Black and she identified as otherwise after she had utilized your educational system, your support, your fraternities, your sororities. And she turned around and gave you her ass to kiss. Y'all gonna vote for her again? Inquiring minds want to know.
I'm not voting for her again. I had my Chucks and Pearls on because of my sorority. which I had to leave because God told me to leave. I might do a video on that, guys.
Revolutionary salute to our queen. Love and beauty for the $9.99 donation to the war chest. She say, salute, King. Much appreciation for the knowledge. Our revolution is a way of life. I absolutely appreciate the donation, Queen, to the war chest. Salute.
I, as a believer, you got to do what you believe God is telling you to do. And it may offend some people, but as a believer, you got to be more concerned with what God wants rather than what people want. This is what God told me to do. I'm not saying anything against those organizations. I'm just saying what God wants me to do. So I shall therefore obey him rather than man. But I will not be voting for Kamala Harris again. Yes, I made that mistake. I made a mistake. I am human. But it will not, when you know better, you do better. It won't happen again. It won't happen again. And what that woman just showed is the reason why the Democrat Party is always enslaving people, whether it's through how we think, thinking that the whole world is against us and believing that all white people hate us or the system hates you. The demon rats hate us, but the Democrats are anti-American. All Americans, no matter what you look like, they are anti-God and anti-American. They're the God-hating, America-hating party. They hate anything that is of God. They just hate it. They hate children. They hate the unborn. They hate. That's
a fact.
That's who they are. And they use people of color and women and certain other minority groups to get our votes. But when they get in there, they do absolutely nothing. Look at their track record. Kamala Harris should have been seen for who she was before we went stupidly voting for her, knowing that she imprisoned all those people. Imprisoned them beyond their sentencing to use them for cheap labor. That is slavery. Cheap labor beyond their sentencing. That is insane. And you know what she did to get her way up to the top, which we've already discussed in that hilarious clip. But you guys, let's be smart about this voting thing. Get the word out for those who will listen. Thank you for watching.
Harris will be the Democratic Party's presidential candidate at their national convention in Chicago next month. And boy, what a difference 4 to 5 years can make. She went from being a hostile presidential candidate that no one took serious to becoming the vice president and now the presidential candidate. And not to mention, she broke a presidential campaign record by raising $81 million on one day. Doesn't seem like Trump has the easiest road as he did with Biden. But then the question has been looming. Is Kamala Harris even black? This question was not even asked by me first. It was presented in a very interesting way by Kimberly Foster, who owns the popular blog For Harriet. And she had this to say.
Hey y'all, it's me, Kim. Hi, how are you doing? I'm good. Thank you for asking. Shout out to Janet. So obviously this video is going to be about Kamala Harris again. So if you watched my last video on Kamala, then you should know, hopefully if you made it to the end, which most of you did not, you should know that I am not on Team Kamala. I have huge reservations about her as a candidate. But one thing that I was not expecting was all of the people pushing back and saying that she is not black. Okay, that was a surprise. That was a surprise. And so many people commented telling me that she is not black that I had to take a step back and say, whoa, what am I missing here? Like, why do so many people believe this?
So even Kimberly Foster, a Harvard University graduate who has one of the best African-American lifestyle blogs for women in the country, didn't buy Kamala Harris even then. But she did some research on who her father was.
So let's take a look.
The thing to me about the so-called debt crisis is the striking amount of public attention it has received. Judging, for instance, from the amount of newsprint and other coverage by the media that has been devoted to it, I would say it ranks second only to the coverage given to Glasnost, Perestroika, and Gorbachev.
Now, he seems like he's black to me. We know that the mother is Indian. And this is important for today's topic because we know that Kamala Harris is not African American. When you look at Kamala Harris, you can definitely see that she looks black, but we will see that she's not. And let's talk about her education. Kamala Harris was educated at Howard University, then went to the University of California, Hastings Law School in San Francisco. And she worked her way up from a prosecutor, being very harsh on black criminals or black men, guilty or not, then working her way up to becoming a state senator, now vice president and presidential candidate. But the real thing that got Kamala Harris in trouble was this disgusting interview that she gave on The Griot. And it was titled, "Does Kamala Support Reparations for Black Americans?"
Do you support reparations for Black people?
Well, listen, again, we had over 200 years of slavery. We had Jim Crow for almost a century. We had legalized discrimination.
What does she mean?
And now we have
people not from over here.
Segregation and discrimination that is not legal but still exists and is a barrier to progress. We have disparities around housing. We have disparities around education. We have disparities around income. And we have to recognize that everybody did not start out on an equal footing in this country. And in particular, Black people have not. And so we have got to recognize that and do something about that and give folks a lift up. That's why, for example, I'm proposing the LIFT Act. Give people who are making $100,000 or less as a family a tax credit, which will benefit and uplift 60% of Black families who are in poverty.
So by default, it affects Black families, but there's not a particular policy for African Americans that you would explore.
But no, if you look at the reality of who will benefit from certain policies, when you take into account that they're not starting at the same place and they're not starting on equal footing, it will directly benefit Black children, Black families, Black homeowners, because the disparities are so significant. So if we focus on the specific issues that have resulted in the greatest disparities, and we understand that that's part of why we're doing it. Listen, the reality also is this: any policy that will benefit Black people will benefit all of society. Let's be clear about that. Let's really be clear.
All right, we'll give it to us near the benefit of
So I'm not going to sit here and say I'm going to do something that's only going to benefit Black people. No, because whatever benefits that Black family will benefit that community and society as a whole and the country. Right?
Now let's get back to a small portion of this clip.
But no.
Did you guys hear that? She said no. Kamala Harris doesn't want to be specific when it comes to Black Americans. And you heard it. She talked about 200 years of slavery. And even if she's not an African American, Jamaicans experienced slavery.
But just to catch, her ancestors in India and Jamaica were slave owners. While she talking about slavery, yeah, you owe reparations, man. When you gonna start paying up?
Very close to the Jamaican community as African Americans. And she went to Howard University, but she still doesn't believe that African Americans deserve special rights. She believes a rising tide lifts all boats. Now, this was her in 2020 before she became the vice president for Joe Biden. And that leads me to today's conversation that's going on Twitter. One of my favorite singers of all time is the late, great Isaac Hayes. I have like all the albums. One of my favorite albums that he put out was the Truck Turner soundtrack. But I digress. His son is actually different, Isaac Hayes III. And he posted this on Twitter for your information to Black men. Black women are watching you try and tear down an overqualified Black woman for trying to fulfill her purpose, break barriers, and accomplish her dreams. Your mothers, grandmothers, sisters, wives, and daughters would be ashamed seeing you act like this. You look small, insecure, and weak doing so. Then Tariq Nasheed got a hold of this on Twitter, and he said this: our FBA mothers, grandmothers, sisters, and wives did not make tandoori chicken when we were growing up. So we don't owe every slightly melanated person the same reverence as the FBA women in our families. Now, somebody else got involved in this, which was Lord Jamar. Now, we know that Lord Jamar has been very open about his criticism of hashtag ADOS or hashtag FBA. Both of them are the same communities, right? He believes that lineage ideology divides the Black community too much. What does he say here? In response to Isaac Hayes, I respectfully disagree. And what makes her overqualified? She's not a Black woman or a Black woman, so let's not act like she's the same as our mothers, wives, sisters, and daughters. She has stated publicly she will not do anything specifically for Black people. Trying to shame Black men ain't it, bro. Let me talk about this. I agree definitely with these brothers, Lord Jamar and Tariq. And you guys know I'm a brother that's in the Pan-African community. You know, I agree with the FBAs, but I also agree with all of us coming together as one, although that may be difficult. And you're going to encounter people like Kamala Harris who have used the African-American community to come up. She's benefited off the African-American community, more so than she has the Jamaican community. But here she is still getting the support of Black people who she told won't do anything for them. Black women raised like $1.5 million in a Zoom call for Kamala Harris. And the reason why is they know that Kamala Harris is good for Black women, which is true. It's not good for Black people, but for Black women, Kamala Harris, it is a good look for Black women, and they understand that, so they're investing. But at the same time, trying to shame Black men into saying that, hey, that because she's a Black woman, you need to vote for her, although she don't have your best interest. Well, let me look at it another way. If she was Black and Indian, and she was over in the Indian community, would they accept her how she looks? Would they put their people into voting for her? They won't. Where's the Indian community accepting Kamala Harris at all? They don't. You never hear about any Indian person talking about how much they love Kamala Harris. Because why? They don't look at her as the same. Because to them, she's not the same. Kamala Harris is very similar to the African-American community. She understands it to a certain degree, but she's not in our group. And it's not that she's not in our group because of what she looks like. She definitely looks like she could be one of us. It's her mentality. And this is what I want to talk about. When we look at somebody like Louis Farrakhan, for an example, he is the minister. Nobody would ever dare call Louis Farrakhan a tether, okay? No one would ever call Malcolm X, who had a mother from Guyana, I believe, or it was one of those places in the Caribbean, a tether, a half tether. We could never call Stokely Carmichael, for the most part, a tether. Why? Because it was their mentality. Their mentality was Black first. And if Kamala Harris had the mentality of a Louis Farrakhan, first of all, she wouldn't be vice president. They wouldn't let her up there. But if she had the mentality of us, we wouldn't be criticizing her. We would let her rock. And I would honestly believe that Tariq Nasheed would do the same thing. Tariq Nasheed and other brothers in the community, because we have seen people like this that come from the other parts of the Black community that come in and they swing the bat for the Black. And they want to see the Black community be successful, the African-American community be successful, and they join in with us in the fight. We give those people a pass. Like Louis Farrakhan, who was born to two Caribbean parents. We would consider Louis Farrakhan, we don't even check where his ancestry, where his history is. We know that he's one of us. That's how we look at him. And he's one of our teachers, one of our leaders, our thought leaders. But when it comes to Kamala Harris, she ain't talking Black. So now people doing research. That's why you have so many hashtag FBA people asking the question, where are you from? Where are your people from? In other words, we don't really know. So what's your background? What's your information? Making sure that you're really down with the team. But when you talking Black and acting Black, nobody actually says that. But you can't say that with her. So guys, what do you think? It's your boy, Oshie Jackson, back at it again with an episode of The Celebrity Drunk.
here is Don Lemon, and I don't know who this woman is he's talking to. He's going to argue that Kamala Harris is not African American. Now, you just said she wasn't raised by black people. Her father was Jamaican, right? And her mother was Indian, not American Indian.
And she was raised by her mother.
And she was raised by her mother. Okay.
Yep. In fact, her father disavowed her because Kamala Harris made a joke mocking her Jamaican family descent, stereotyping them as pot, drug users, and her father, who is a Marxist intellectual, took great offense to that, and said that their ancestors would be rolling in their grave if they saw that Kamala Harris essentially stereotyped their family as Jamaican weed smokers, like she has done. So she has no connection, and even then, I have
your pops high-ranking boule in Jamaica. By the time to do a deep dive into his background real soon.
Solidarity with the international international black people, but she wasn't raised in a black household. And that's just a fact. She was raised by an Indian mother, and she's Jamaican. So the psyop trying to push Kamala as being relatable to the black experience is completely false, especially considering she's directly responsible with locking black men up, keeping innocent men in jail. She put civil asset forfeiture, which studies show steals around 65%. 65% of people impacted by civil asset forfeiture are black men. And that's the policy that she pushed to bankrupt our community. And she did it from the outside in, not from the inside, looking for the best for the black community. And this is what black people knew about Kamala. We knew her. This is not a reintroduction. The liberal class trying to say we just reintroduce Kamala Harris. That's not going to work. She ran before and only got 1% black support because we did our research and saw the massive damage she did to the black community. She pushed for sentences for nonviolent offenders because she believed in slave labor. She was a big advocate of slave labor. So she kept innocent men in jail, advocating for harsh interpretation of the law so the state can benefit from slavery. The biggest enemy of the black community you can possibly ask for is someone like Kamala Harris.
Well, here's what Don Lemon had to say. And this was, I don't know exactly when this was, but it's a while ago because he was still on CNN. So here we go.
When you see her blackness, but she is also South Asian. Her mom is South Asian, and her dad is Jamaican.
April. Let me listen.
Yes.
More power to her, and I think it's great. That should be enough. Listen, it is enough that she's a black woman.
We are not a monolith.
No.
Exactly.
But
they did the same thing.
No. I think you're not hearing what people are saying. The people who are saying is she blacking up, that's bull. That's BS. But to want a distinction to say, is she African American or is she black or is she whatever? There is nothing wrong with that. There is a difference between being African American and being black. Latino people are people of color, but they're not black. They're brown people.
She is a woman of color, but she is a black woman.
Okay, that's why I agree with that. I agree with that. But is she African American? No. But is she African American? There is a difference. There's nothing wrong with that. No one is trying to take anything away from her.
Let's go down into her lineage.
I think you're falling into a trap of that. All she had to do was say, "I am black, but I'm not African American." That's it.
Don, I'm not falling in a trap. I'm not falling in. Let me finish. Hold on. I'm not falling into a trap by that. When she goes down her lineage, many Africans landed in Jamaica and all these other Caribbean islands. So she could indeed
Jamaica's
be
not America.
African American mixed with other races, but she is
Jamaica's not America.
But she is a black woman. She was
Jamaica
born
did not
here.
Come out of Jim Crow.
Okay, well let's go into Ted Cruz. Ted Cruz was born in Canada.
So you could always depend on Don Lemon to get to the heart of the superficial bullshit. So is that, first of all, does it make a bit of difference? So someone from Jamaica, he makes the point that they didn't come out of Jim Crow. They're Jamaican, not African American, but she is black. They all agree that she's black. Does any of that make a difference, Nick?
At the end of the day, it doesn't matter. The reason why I bring it up and the reason why I think it's significant, because the corporate media is lying to people about Kamala Harris' heritage. They keep saying she's black. They keep pretending that she lived her life as black. Do you guys know in 2016 when she ran for Senate, she ran to be the first Indian senator? I showed this on the RBN in my live stream today. And when she won, it was announced that California announced their first Indian senator.
Well,
There it is. I'm glad you have it.
Here it is. California Harris, first Indian American U.S. Senator. That's how the AP reported it when she got elected. Attorney General Kamala Harris, or Kamala, I'm not sure which one's not hateful, wins the open Senate seat to replace retiring Democratic Senator Barbara Boxer in a race that featured and then here it says the victory for the 51-year-old Harris makes her the first Indian American senator. So
but at the age of 51, the tender age of 51, Jimmy, she found her Black roots. And when she wanted to run, that's when she marketed herself as a Black woman.
And then when she wanted to run for president, Biden picks Kamala Harris as running mate, first Black woman. Well, what the fuck?
Yeah. Yeah. I'm sorry I got ahead of your presentation, but this is exactly what I was referring to. And truth matters, doesn't it, Jimmy? Like at the end of the day, her race is very insignificant. But I'm bringing this up because I don't want my people to be misled. You have the corporate media that's pushing this lie. And I'm going to speak from my personal experience and what I know from my community. We would adopt you. Like, Kamala, if you Indian, that's cool. We could adopt you. But you got a white man husband. Like, she had a Black husband, Black children, and she advocated for pro-Black policy. She's part of the cookout, but she's a Zionist. She was giving speeches at AIPAC. She's friends with Benjamin Netanyahu. She's never been part of the community. And this lie and this entire thing of Black women rallying behind Kamala Harris, I'm speaking out against this because truth has to matter for something, right?
Yeah, I wonder what her home life is like with Doug Emhoff, right? How'd she land somebody so dead sexy? That's my question. I mean, I just wonder what his core routine is. So here, I want to show what you actually... you said Kamala Harris is in the primary only had 1% Black support. This is the person liberals think will turn out Black voters. K-Hive was a bunch of white women cosplaying as Black. Black people hate Kamala Harris.
And gay white dudes too. Someone fixed that, and that's why I added to that. It's mostly gay white dudes and some white women that was cosplaying as K-Hive.
I'm going to say a hive of mud wasps is more popular than K-Hive. And I'll do you one better. You say she only got 1%. I bet you that 1% weren't even human. I bet they were bots. Okay, that's my guess. And I thought she was going to pick. I bet she picks Elizabeth Warren as her running mate. Then they could have an all-Indian. Anyway, the whole thing. Kamala Harris was getting dominated in the Black vote by Elizabeth Warren. You tweeted out. Is that true?
Yeah, she was losing to the first transracial candidate to the Black vote. And yeah, according to Quinn P.A., that's the poll that was quoted by Fox News. Elizabeth Warren had 8%, and Bernie was like 2 times higher than Elizabeth Warren. Remember the smear about the white Bernie bros, even though Bernie was doing second best to Joe Biden? Unfortunately, you had Joe Biden had like 46%, but that's the Obama rub. That's the scourge of Black neoliberalism that RBN exists to oppose. But what did it say that this radical, this person who's clearly connected to the streets, you see Elizabeth Warren, had got 8 times more support than Kamala Harris. But the narrative, because I'm a psyop buster, that's the only reason I do what I do. The narrative is that Kamala is going to be someone who's going to take this on for Joe Biden as he struggles with the Black vote. And that's not going to happen. They know it's not going to happen. They already smearing Black men, Jimmy. We're sexist. We are white adjacent, according to Joanne Reed.
You're white adjacent. Yes, I know. I saw that. So she's basically the roulette wheel of racials. She could be anything she wants. And she could be Black. But here, I like this Kamala Harris facts, or Kamala, I don't know how to say it. Raised in Canada, not California. I didn't know that. Did you know that?
Mm-hmm. I didn't know that.
Here's another one. She's not African-American. She's Indian and Jamaican. We already talked about that. Her political career started out of an affair with a... Oh, that's when she was with...
Brown?
What's that? Willie Brown, right? From San Francisco. He appointed her to a couple of boards. And that's how she got
the allegation, Jimmy. The allegation, once again, the allegation is that Kamala slept her way up to power. good for her. I mean, doing what she had to do, that's politics for you. But that's the allegation regarding the fact she was raised in Canada. That's to my earlier point, Jimmy. And I said before, if you know, we would adopt you in the Black community. I mean, if you're around us, I mean, you in our community, you will be easily adopted in our community. But Kamala's not there, guys. That's the point I'm making. Like, even if she's not full Black, that is not the point I'm making. The idea that she's African American, that she's understanding our experience, it's completely fiction. That's my main point. But go ahead, Jimmy.
Also, there's more to it. It says she imprisoned over 2,000 Black for minor drug charges and held them past their release date for free county labor resource, in some respects, slave labor. Now, I know about this because they actually had to sue her twice. They took her to court. A judge ordered her to release prisoners twice. And she said her office argued in court that they didn't want to release those prisoners because they needed them for the free labor. That was for real. That was an argument they made in court. The people that worked for her, not her specifically, but the people from her attorney general office, when they argued why they hadn't released the prisoners that they were ordered to release, they said because it would upset the prison labor system. You know that, right?
Yep. Yeah. And this is like, it wasn't white liberals who took Kamala down. Like, do people think white liberals is the reason why you had Kamala surge in support after the debate where she called out Jim Crow Joe for his racial segregation policy, and after that, interest in Kamala Harris surged. It wasn't the white liberal establishment; it was Black Twitter. Black Twitter looked into Kamala Harris, and we saw how many Black men, how many Black families she destroyed. Like her advocacy for civil asset forfeiture, her destroying these families. What do you guys think the consequences to the family when this when this stuff happens? We had civil asset forfeiture pushed in our communities. We had the breadwinners of our families taken out of the workforce. It devastated our community. It's not something that we can forgive, and that's why she struggled with the Black vote, and she will continue. Right now, there may, according to polls, she's still losing to Trump. But the second that people who don't know she is investigate her record, people are not going to buy it. No one's going to support her because there's nothing worse than a traitor.
Well, also, I didn't know this, that she is a descendant of Hamilton Brown, one of the largest slave owner traders in Jamaican history. Did you know that?
Did not know that, but I'm not surprised. Not surprised.
So,
it's classic over everything, of course.
India.
Of course. Go ahead, Jimmy.
So here she is. She's being asked what she's going to do specifically. This is from the Griot. She's being asked what she's going to do specifically for the Black community. And she doesn't have anything she's going to do. In fact, she brags that she's not going to do anything specifically for the Black community. Listen to her answer.
So by default, it affects Black families, but there's not a particular policy for African Americans that you would explore.
But no, if you look at the reality of who will benefit from certain policies, when you take into account that they're not starting at the same place and they're not starting on equal footing, it will directly benefit Black children, Black families, Black homeowners, because the disparities are so significant. So if we focus on the specific issues that have resulted in the greatest disparities, and we understand that that's part of why we're doing it. Listen, the reality also is this: any policy that will benefit Black people will benefit all of society. Let's be clear about that. Let's really be clear about that. So I'm not going to sit here and say I'm going to do something that's only going to benefit Black people. No, because whatever benefits that Black family will benefit that community and society as a whole and the country. Right?
So that just seems strange to me. Now, I've often, let me juxtapose it to this. So here is when she's asked, what are you going to do for immigrants? And here she has a litany of things she's going to do for them. Let's listen.
On January 20th, 2021, if you are president, what specifically would you do with the thousands of people who try to reach the United States every day and want a better life through asylum?
I would tell them, don't come. Okay, anyway. that was her message when she went down to Central America. Anyway, let's listen to what she says.
Immediately on January 20th of 2021, I will, first of all, we cannot forget our DACA recipients, and so I'm going to start there. I will immediately, by executive action, reinstate DACA status and DACA protection to those young people. I will further extend protection for deferral of deportation for their parents and for veterans who we have so many who are undocumented and have served our country and fought for our democracy.
Undocumented. I didn't know there were undocumented veterans.
I didn't either.
What in the shit is she talking about? You mean using illegals for military service? I mean, I've heard of that, but once they're veterans, I'm pretty sure they're documented. Okay. Anyway, but this is more about how she's got a litany of things she's going to do for the undocumented and not one thing she was going to do for the African American community.
I will also immediately put in place a meaningful process for reviewing the cases for asylum. I will release children from cages. I will get rid of the private detention centers.
Listen to all these things she
has.
has.
I will ensure that this microphone that the President of the United States holds in her hand is used in a way that is about reflecting the values of our country.
So I just find it, I mean, I've said that if you get everybody Medicare for all, that helps everybody, including black people. I've said those things like that. If you raise the minimum wage, that helps everybody, including black. The best thing you can do for everybody is to get them a living wage and health care. But it's funny that, she now wants to highlight her blackness. And when asked what she's going to do for African Americans specifically, she doesn't have anything, but she had a litany of things she was going to do for undocumented immigrants. So anything you'd like to say about that?
You took the words right from my mouth, because there's actually an idea that you said that I agree with. I think we both agree with that. If you uplift the black working class, you uplift everybody. And as a Marxist, as someone who is class conscious, a revolutionary first, I tell people all the time, especially my poor white brothers and sisters, advocating for healthcare lifts everyone up. When you look at the black community, we have the highest percentage of medical debt. We struggle the most with healthcare costs. Our life expectancy struggle because of that. But Kamala Harris is against single payer. So if you focus on class-based politics, you will lift everyone up. That's the first thing. The second thing I want to focus on, this is what a lot of the criticism on Kamala and the Democrats generally is from radicals, that, oh, you don't have a black agenda. Oh, you're not doing this for us. You don't support a minimum wage. In the year 2024, to be honest with you guys, that's not my criticism of the Democratic Party no more. My criticism of the Democratic Party is not what they're not doing for our community. It's what they're currently doing. Right now, the Democratic Party, led by Democratic mayors, are building cop cities all over the United States. It's the Democratic Party that is overseeing and facilitating a genocide. It was the Democratic Party and Joe Biden that bombed Somalia. My criticism of the Democratic Party is not what they're failing to do, it's what they're actively doing right now. And Kamala Harris was there every step of the way. I'm already seeing people that was part of the uncommitted campaign that said they wouldn't vote for Joe Biden because of genocide start to soften their approach regarding Kamala. No, Kamala Harris is just as guilty as Joe Biden regarding the genocide in Israel. Joe Biden wrote the crime bill, but in order to have the crime bill, you need foot soldiers to implement it. Joe Biden wrote the crime bill. Kamala Harris was part of the foot soldier apparatus that implemented the crime bill, and she should never be forgiven for that. But go ahead, Jimmy.
So, well, this is when Tulsi destroyed Kamala. Yeah. And so she touches on those things you're talking about. Let's just listen to that.
Senator Harris says she's proud of her record as a prosecutor and that she'll be a prosecutor president, but I'm deeply concerned about this record. There are too many examples to cite, but she put over 1,500 people in jail for marijuana violations and then laughed about it when she was asked if she ever smoked marijuana. She blocked evidence. She blocked evidence that would have freed an innocent man from death row until the courts forced her to do so. She kept people in prison beyond their sentences to use them as cheap labor for the state of California. And she fought to keep cash bail system in place that impacts poor people in the worst kind of way.
Thank you, Congresswoman.
So all those things are correct. She's correct about all those things. She fought to keep, not only that, but she also criminalized truancy, right? Which, who does that affect the most, right? And she bragged about it. And let me show you. I'll show you one more thing, which is this is really stunning. She gave this speech, and I can't believe someone let her give this speech. But she's going to brag that she funded prisons more than schools. Let's listen to this.
Wow. I have friends like Eva Patterson. Okay, so I say with all love and warmth
I couldn't believe you put this out there.
that part of the concern also for people who are progressive thinking and liberal minded, or just progressive thinking in terms of just fix it, is that we all have these posters in our closet that is attached to a stick that we sometimes will card out when we're talking about criminal justice policy and those statistics that you first heard when we opened it up, incarceration. And we run around with these signs, build more schools, less jails. Build more schools, less jails. And we walk around everywhere, build more schools. We protest, build more schools, less jails. Put money into education, not prisons. There's a fundamental problem with that approach, in my opinion. And it's this. I agree with that conceptually, but you have not addressed the reason I have 3 padlocks on my front door. So part of the discussion about reform of criminal justice policy has to be an acknowledgement that crime does occur, and especially when it is violent.
That would sound good if it's a scam. That would sound, she's not worried about criminals who actually doing the violent crimes, because remember, they had on record, no. Non-violent offenders. She was mass incarcerating them. They got the letters from the prison saying the people was complaining. The government made her release non-violent offenders because the prison said, no, we need those non-violent offenders. It's good for business to have those non-violent offenders in here working for us. That's where the slave labor come on. So she thinks she's slick enough to come in here and say, well, I would want to put more money in the schools, but you haven't dealt with the burglar who's breaking. Oh, lady, please. You've been arresting people for smoking marijuana and keeping them in prison to make more money. She's a scammer.
Crime and serious crime. Well, there should be a broad consensus that there should be serious and severe and swift consequence to crime.
So that's her message. She's mocking people who say build more schools and less prisons. She's literally mocking them.
We all hate crime.
She's validating everything that Tulsi just said about her. And you're saying the black community knows this about her.
Yeah, and Jimmy, if Trump is smart, he's going to attack her on this. Just wait. It's only a matter of time for Trump to attack Kamala Harris for locking up a ton of black men. He already beta tested and used that attack a lot on Joe Biden regarding the crime bill. And I know I'm a little bit ideologically biased here, but I think it would be a giant mistake if Donald Trump tries to paint Kamala Harris. Like I saw Sean Hannity try to say she's a far left radical Marxist, actually advocate for the prison industrial complex. And I know I'm biased, but I think it would be a giant mistake if Trump does that. If Trump tries to paint her as the next AOC, what he needs to do is to point out how she betrayed our community. If Trump runs an ad and point out how Kamala Harris locked up black men, it's a wrap, fam. Well, whether he does it or not, we see he snatched defeat from the jaws of victory before, because I think it would be very dumb to try and paint this corporate sellout who does the bidding of Israel as some sort of far left radical. If he does that, he gives Kamala a chance. If he tells the truth about her ideology, it's a Trump red wave, baby. But we see how the GOP handled this, because I've already seen indications that they're gonna pretend that she's some sort of Hugo Chavez or something.
She's a communist or something. But you're right. What they should, if I was advising them, I would just say you talk about her real record, that she was part of the Biden administration. Joe Biden brags about the crime bill, never apologized for it. That's why black and brown people are locked up at way higher rates, because he had those mandatory minimum sentences. He made crack be way worse than white powdered cocaine. All that stuff came from Joe Biden, not from Donald Trump. In fact, Donald Trump did the Step Act, which let black people out of prison. So he should highlight that contrast for sure, that that Donald Trump let black people out of prison, and Kamala Harris and Joe Biden made sure they stayed in prison and were put in prison. That would be that's the way to go on that. And I would just show that her mocking people, or more prison, more schools, less prison. Yeah. What, you're going to mock that idea? You're going to mock the idea of more schools, less prisons. And in a country, we're the world's largest penal colony, right? We imprison more people by raw numbers than China. By even not percentage-wise, raw numbers. We have 5% of the world's population. We incarcerate 25% of the world's prison population. It's crazy what we do here in the United States. And why do we do that? Because Bill Clinton and the Democrats and Joe Biden and Kamala Harris have been in bed with the for-profit prison industry and the slave labor that they get. So we didn't stop slavery in America. We just shifted it to the prisons, right?
Absolutely. And that's so well said in that clip. Kamala Harris sounds no different from the most unhinged Reaganite.
That's right.
But as we said in our earlier conversation, what does left and right mean anymore? Because you have AOC and Bernie Sanders endorsing the person you just showed, who sounds like a Reaganite. And there's a reason why many former conservatives or Republicans with Trump derangement syndrome feel so comfortable within the Democratic Party, because they have the exact same ideology of Ronald Reagan. Regarding criminal justice. That's why it would be a giant misstep if Trump tried to pretend otherwise. And I think it's funny regarding what you said, China, they have 4 times higher population than us despite having less prison population. And many people believe they're the authoritarian country. What does it say about our country that we imprison 1/4 of the world's prison population while calling ourselves the land of the free? Why we have so many Americans that have to take prescription pills, antidepressants, just to get by in this country, as they try to pretend that our system somehow better than China or Russia. We are the authoritarian country, and we don't have the moral high ground over anybody.
Hey, do you owe back taxes?
Melanie, and you're going to want to watch this clip that I found. Now, watch the whole thing because it's important to hear. There, I comb the internet trying to find these nuggets of information, the stories that are not talked about. We know it is like basically, what's going on right now in the media. You see the top headlines. You see the mainstream media, left-wing media glazing Kamala Harris. And let's be honest, right-wing media will be glazing Donald Trump. They will be all over, their candidates. But one of the things as an independent that I try to do is pick out those stories, those voices of the people, what's actually going on. And this segment really speaks to it. You're going to see, if you can sit through it, there'll be some things you don't, that are weird, but it's going to be some nuggets that you're going to want to pull out. And in particularly, this is about the Black community and the Black vote that is not so locked up by the Democrat Party, even having a Black woman, really a woman of color, as their now nominee.
Fox 11's Laura Diaz is live in Inglewood. Laura?
Well, Christine, if Democrats are to win, they will heavily reside on the shoulders of the Black community. So today we went out and we spoke to people, everything from people who were talking to us on the streets to private Zoom meetings that were held, and plans were being made.
And we are going to win.
Minority woman is being president because she has the ability and is capable of doing whatever she has to do to make the United States better than what it is.
What I wish we would get away from is the speech about color. It should be about your character and what are you doing for our people.
From the streets of Crenshaw, off the air.
Radio Free 102.3 KJLH.
To radio station KJLH in Inglewood, on the air.
Enter stage left, Kamala Harris.
Come on. Kamala Harris as presumptive Democratic nominee for president was all the talk.
Plot twist!
Plot twist.
Plot twist! Plot twist!
Popular radio DJ Tammy Mack fielded calls during her afternoon drive show. A cross-section of people calling in with opinions of Harris and her likely history-making run as president. The airwaves lighting up.
I am done with the Democratic Party. They need to learn to put the country and the people first.
Everywhere I went, a lot of chatter about this mysterious Zoom call. Thousands of women zoomed in a movement called Win with Black Women. Our DJ and caller knew all about it.
Zoom call that happened with over 44,000 Black women last night.
We have time for divisiveness. We have got to get her in there.
Back to that highly attended Zoom call, I'm told that it included a lot of heavy hitters who were invited to it. But when I tried to drill down and get more information, I was told that people have been told not to talk about the meeting, that they're still trying to figure the details out for their plans. But 44,000 women, that's pretty impressive. Marla, Christine?
Laura, as we talk to different people in the Black community, you're finding different answers.
Yeah, you know what? Maybe I was a little bit surprised. I thought that it might be one way of looking at a potential person to vote for. But actually, we talked to quite a few people today who were Trump supporters, as well as people who supported the Democratic ticket. So perhaps we're seeing that, you know, people are expanding out and not necessarily voting the way their parents or grandparents voted.
Well. That is very interesting because I have been doing research, guys. I don't like to just jump on any party lines. I am an independent and I like to see what is actually going on in the streets. And I have brought you coverage and I've started to talk about with Kamala Harris. I talked about when Biden was running that the Black vote was splintered. It's no longer a monolith where Black people are all voting one way. A lot of people have become independent or Republican. And particularly you see this giant splinter in the gender war. There is a gender war, a gender divide within the electorate. But it's not just in the US. It's not just within the Black community. It's not just the US. This is worldwide. And I may have to do a refresh of a video I did quite some time ago about how in every Western country now you are seeing a polarized electorate where the women are leaning liberal and the men are going conservative across the board. Now, I know why that is happening. I think a lot of the talking heads and people in news and media, even the pollsters, they don't understand why. But because I cut my teeth in the dating market and understanding men and women's relationship and relationship dynamics, it makes sense. You are going to see this kind of trickle down or trickle up going into the election of men are very much divided against women when it comes to pretty much everything. And especially in the relationship and dating market, that is where you really see it. And that's where it has started. And it goes into feminism. It goes into this anti-male, anti-men structure that we have adopted in the US and in a lot of Western countries where women are pedestalized and put above men. And so men are feeling disenfranchised from schools that have become anti-male through universities, governmental systems and structures, like corporations. We have seen this rise of this push of women, and at the expense of men. It's not about the equality of women anymore. It is the expense of men, and women are above men. Women are better than men. You see, once you start to tune your eyes and ears to these things, you will see it in almost every facet of media where jokes are made about men. Men are stupid, women are smarter, and all of that. And if you say anything against a woman, like one of the things I'm seeing is that, and I have some more to show you guys. One of the things I see happening is they're saying, well, it's sexist and racist what they're saying about Kamala Harris being a DEI pick. I have played this clip over and over. She literally was. Now, she was a DEI pick to become vice president. Now, I'm not talking about her being a prosecutor or any of her other accomplishments. I'm saying being vice president. A group of Black women went to.
They called the white lady who's the Secret Service head of the Secret Service, who had to step down. They called her a DEI pick too. So it ain't racist to say that because they call the white lady the same thing.
Biden had a list of Black women, and let me just make this clear. Kamala Harris is not a Black woman. She's a woman of color. She's not Black, okay? But they had a list of Black women. She was the least Black on that list, and he chose her above other actually Black women, right? I know it doesn't matter now. It only matters if you're opposition, but now it just doesn't matter. Everybody just shut up, close your eyes. That doesn't matter. And I'm just explaining this. I don't have any dog in this right now, any dog in this fight. I'm just explaining this to people who don't understand. They said, you better choose a Black woman from this list. And that's what he did. Did the same thing with the Supreme Court nominee. And that is just how the way the world works. In politics, you make demands. If you have something you can threaten somebody with power with so that you can gain an advantage or a perceived advantage, that's what you do. And that is what they did. That is literally picking her based on her race and gender. That is a DEI hire. When they talk about men in the same way, well, he was hired because he's a white man. Or he, if they talk about her, a lot of people are bringing up her sexual past. I brought up that video that Candace Owens did, talking about how she slept her way to the top. I don't like to get into that type of things. I reported on it because it was said, and it is a big talk about her and Willie Brown and politics, all of that. But they've talked about men's sexual past when it comes to these things, but it only becomes racist and misogynistic if a woman is given the same treatment, the same scrutiny as a man. So this is another thing that men see as hypocritical. Why can't you say anything? If you say anything and they call it a dog whistle or this language is this way, but a man is supposed to just take it, and you can't say it's a dog whistle. It's made fun of. It's front page news. It's constantly used over and over about a man's sexual past, like everything, or a man's race, or that the fact that he is a man, he's a white man. If I hear another statement about, the basic white man or not old white men when it comes to this election and electoral process, you hear these things. But if you were to say the same thing about a Black woman or woman of color, oh, it's a 5-alarm fire. So there's a lot of hypocrisy that I see going on. Now, what's interesting is that this news reporter was completely shocked that Black people are not a monolith. But you're not going to see this too much on mainstream. I have a few videos that I'm going to be coming out with because I think this is an important narrative that is being largely ignored, but it is going to make a huge difference in this election and in this process. Well, I just did a video previously. Black Lives Matters is one of the only organizations I've seen that call this out, where Kamala Harris says that she plans to earn the vote. Then on a Sunday, there's a timeline. She says she's going to earn the vote. She starts calling delegates Sunday night. By Monday, Kamala releases this statement noting she has worked hard to go out and earn this nomination as promised Monday night, completely ignoring voters and completely ignoring the electorate. It was all about delegates and donors. She wanted to earn it with delegates and donors. If this was a white man that had done the same thing, imagine what the talk would be. Imagine what people would be saying. Imagine the scrutiny that would be said about him. And this is where I'm seeing, this is a whole new 2024. It's not like the past. Like that woman said in the news report, this isn't about, how our grandparents or the older people have voted. The Black vote is very splintered. The vote is splintered, period, between men and women. And we are seeing that people are not just going along to get along. They are actually voting with what matters to them as individuals and not just a monolith group anymore. And when you see things like this, men will feel like, well, I would have had to earn that type of vote. When she says earn it, so she just gets to call a few people and that's earning the nomination. She just gets to get the donors on her side. I mean, we already know this is a sham process. So my goal is to bring to light what is going on, these hidden stories, these things that you're not going to see all over mainstream while they're celebrating, and really what seems to be a coronation of somebody out of the blue, which up until the last moment, we were told Joe Biden's fine. Don't believe your lying eyes. Don't believe your lying ears. Nothing's wrong with Joe Biden. Joe Biden. Joe Biden. Joe Biden. He's fine. He's fine. He's fine. There's nothing wrong with this person's. Oh, that's not true. And you're being racist, sexist, homophobic. Those are just thrown out if you just disagree. But now suddenly, it's all better now. And of course he had to go. And so this is where a lot of people feel jerked around, and a lot of Black voters are not just going to ride with this just because. It was different with Barack Obama because he had built himself up in a more grassroots level. Kamala Harris has no grassroots. She is picked by the elites, by the oligarchs. Like, this is not some process where she was down there with the people in the trenches. And so you are going to have her, she is going to get a lot of support. But the overwhelming support, especially in the Black community, you're going to see is going to be among Black women. But also, you're going to also see that Black men at large are not going this way. And I'm going to show evidence of this because people are like, well, I'm a Black man and I am. Well, I'm going to show you evidence that is not just anecdotal, okay, of this happening. And also, a lot of Black women are not feeling this as well for a lot of reasons. So I thought I would point that out, that the embedded, I think, racism that exists that says that, oh, they're Black. And I'm shocked that Black people aren't just voting for things. I was very surprised that there were a lot of Trump voters in the ghetto. I was very surprised that a lot of Negroes are voting for Trump. I'm surprised that everyone is not just jumping on a bandwagon. We're in a different day and age, ladies and gentlemen. So people are making up their minds as an individual choice and not just going with what the media and the spin tells them to. So with that, I'll see you guys on the next one. Bye. Hey guys, it's your girl Melanie, and it looks like Kamala Harris has picked her running mate, and that is Governor of Pennsylvania, Josh Shapiro. Now, I knew the last two candidates that were in the running were Mark Kelly and Josh.
Now, is it Pennsylvania where the assassination on Trump took place? That's kind of crazy. Pennsylvania is where her VP is coming from. Shapiro, her Jewish vice president, she picking this Jewish guy right here, Shapiro. Oh my goodness. Was the assassin of Trump? Wasn't his people Jewish? I don't know I don't know if that's got anything to do with this type of stuff.
Josh Shapiro. I think Mark Kelly is a better choice. Mark Kelly is a Democratic senator out of Arizona. He actually, when John McCain died, there was a special election done, and he won John McCain's seat, which was held by a Republican who was John McCain. Then 2 years later, he then won again in an actual election against a MAGA Republican candidate, and he won his Senate seat. Now, Mark Kelly is likable across the aisle. There's really not a lot of bad things people have to say about him. He's in a border state, Arizona. His record seems to be pretty good, but more than that, he's a Navy veteran. He's an astronaut, and his wife, Gabby Giffords, is the one who survived an actual shot to the head assassination back, I believe, in 2011. So he's a likable figure. It's very hard to attack him in a certain way, but it looks like she has gone with Josh Shapiro. Now, Laura Loomer, there's a lot of reporting, says President Trump's campaign manager, La Savita C, says reliable sources confirm Kamala Harris will be picking Pennsylvania Governor Josh Shapiro as her VP pick.
It's going to be the first Jewish White House in history. I wonder when they're going to start talking about that. The VP and his Jewish family, and then Kamala Harris and her Jewish family. So this is a Jewish White House. Wow. What a time to be alive.
Then she put Shapiro is Jewish. Today, Kamala and Joe Biden both boycotted Netanyahu's speech to Congress. And I'll just show you. So this is Chris Lavasita. I think that's how you say it. I don't know, but it looks like he's confirming. This is Trump's campaign manager is confirming that Kamala Harris has chosen Josh Shapiro. I don't know that much about Josh Shapiro. I'm suspecting you don't know much about Josh Shapiro, but I did find this news piece. It's a couple days old, talking about the possible candidates that Kamala Harris could pick as running mates. Of course, it's very strategic, but it's going to give you kind of a quick breakdown of who he is so you can understand it better. And then we want to compare him to J.D. Vance. Now, J.D. Vance, a lot of people don't know who he is either. I have been hearing grumblings that Trump is regretting his pick of J.D. Vance because essentially when Biden was still running, really the election was locked up for him and he could choose just anybody that he wanted. It could just be somebody he liked, not somebody that brought a lot to the ticket. But now with the things have switched, Kamala Harris is now in the race, Biden is out. It's not guaranteed. This is going to be a much tighter, much closer race than anyone ever thought. That should he have picked someone that had more appeal or someone that could actually guarantee a swing state. And right now it doesn't look like that. Now that is just the inside talking. I don't have anything that I want to put out there that guarantees that's what it is, but there's even a possibility that he may be dropping J.D. Vance based on this new information because the election has changed and having somebody who has more of a greater appeal to the electorate. Also, J.D. Vance has said some things about women who are childless and single. And there are women in the Republican Party right now that are upset with him talking about that or going with that storyline, women who've had infertility and other issues. There's just some things that are coming back to bite him. And they really need somebody that's a counterpart to Trump, who is less bombastic, who doesn't say out of pocket things, more of a straight up Republican and is not trying to fan any flames. But J.D. Vance is more, Trump likes him better personally. But is he going to actually help push the ticket? Then a lot of people will say, does Trump even need help pushing his ticket? It's all about Trump at the end of the day. But again, guys, we're not talking about the base. We're talking about independent voters such as myself who want to see the whole total package and how they relate to each other. Right now, I currently don't have any which way I think of J.D. Vance or Josh Shapiro until I learn more information about them. But I will say across the board, the talkings that I've seen, that Mark Kelly, a lot of people actually liked him and thought he was a stronger pick. But the Democrats cannot win without Pennsylvania. And it is said that Josh Shapiro can deliver Pennsylvania for the Democrats for Harris. So let's see what they have to say about Josh.
If Vice President Harris wins the Democratic nomination with President Biden now out of the race, she will have to quickly decide on a running mate. A list of potential VP picks includes Governor Andy Beshear of Kentucky, Governor Roy Cooper of North Carolina, and Pennsylvania Governor Josh Shapiro. For more on Shapiro's name being among the potential VP picks, I want to bring in CBS News Pittsburgh's political editor, John Delano. So, John, what is the reaction there in Pennsylvania?
Well, Lindsay, first of all, it's great to be with you. You know, there's no question that there's a lot of excitement over the possibility that Governor Josh Shapiro could be named vice president. There is enthusiasm over Kamala Harris from the elected officials, and certainly that began with Josh Shapiro, who is the second elected official of the potential vice presidents to endorse her early yesterday afternoon. Now, whether or not she gets whether she chooses Josh Shapiro, nobody quite knows, of course, at this point. But the governor is going to be here in Pittsburgh this afternoon. We expect him to address the issue. He may dodge it a little bit. This is a gentleman who's new to the governorship of Pennsylvania because he's only been in office for about 18 months as governor. But he did serve 6 years as Attorney General of Pennsylvania, not unlike Kamala Harris, who was Attorney General of California. And he says he's known her for many years because of their dual roles as attorneys generals of big, large states. For Shapiro, what's interesting about him is that he's never lost an election. He's always won everything he's run for, which would be from a state house, multiple terms in the state house, county commissioner in suburban Philadelphia, a very important part of the state, then attorney general, and of course, as governor, he wins as governor. He won, by the way, he won as attorney general of Pennsylvania the same year that Donald Trump carried Pennsylvania. Trump won by 44,000 votes. Governor Shapiro, then Attorney General Shapiro, won his election by over 150,000 votes. Clearly, lots of split tickets in Pennsylvania. So many folks feel that if Vice President Harris picks Governor Shapiro as a running mate, that's maybe not quite a sure thing, but it's certainly a very important measure of how important Pennsylvania is and could well lead to Pennsylvania going Democratic, which in this state, which is a must-win to get to the White House, would be obviously a smart move for the Democrats. We'll see. Lindsay?
So that's another thing I forgot to mention. If Mark Kelly was chosen as vice president, well, that's a Senate seat that they're going to lose. And there's very tight margins, we know now, in the House and the Senate, and they can't really afford to lose it. So I think that's another reason that they did not go with Mark Kelly. But Josh Shapiro, he won the state, even though Donald Trump won the state as president, he won as attorney general, and then he became governor. So we know the state, has the way they vote is not, it is a swing state. It is, it's not in anyone's pocket, but they're hoping those tight margins are going to push him over, are going to, push Kamala Harris over, since people in Pennsylvania already like Josh Shapiro, and he's been able to do it before. Now, it's a different thing being a governor, someone being able to run a state. I go back to Ron DeSantis. Overwhelmingly in Florida, he is popular as a governor, but he was not popular to become a presidential candidate or run on some type of presidential ticket. He could have actually been popular as vice president, but I think there'd be too much headbutting between him and Trump. But so it doesn't always translate. Same thing happened with Hillary Clinton. She chose, I can't even remember his name at this point, but the governor of Virginia at the time, and he didn't help push her. It didn't help push her over. Virginia usually goes blue anyway, but it's actually up for grabs this time, according to the last polls. So we will see. But yeah, guys, so Kamala Harris has chosen Josh Shapiro. I usually, these sources that I find online that report these things or say these things, a lot of the information I've been able to bring you or break first, it has happened because I've been entrenched so deep like a crazy woman trying to research this stuff. But Trump's campaign manager has confirmed that it is going to be Josh Shapiro.
Who in the last few years have left their old party and are now voting for Trump. Latina Brown and Madeline Brame. Madeline, good to see you. We'll start with you. She's been vice president for almost 4 years.
Yeah.
Obama was president for 8 years as a black man. So is playing the race card here really a smart strategy?
Thank you so much, Laura, for having me once again on your show. It is absolutely the most silliest thing that they could possibly do, because most African Americans know that the illegals' benefit card is worth more than our worthless black card. So why would we care about who Kamala Harris is, about her race or her gender? We care about the policies that she has pushed with Joe Biden for the past 3.5 years. We are struggling. We can't even make ends meet.
You talked about retirement earlier. I have to work till I'm 70 years old in order to get my full retirement. So, no, Black America is not supporting Kamala Harris. All right. Her color has nothing to do with the failed policies that she has championed and stood on for 3.5 years.
Now, people have called Kamala the DEI candidate, but Democrats, they don't like that.
Whenever you hear DEI, I want you to think about the N-word. I want you to think about racial slurs. That's what they actually mean.
Latina, when you hear DEI, think of the N-word? That's where they are. That's it.
Well, Laura, thank you for having me on. I just want to say this. The Democrats are full of crap. And I think that they know that the American people can see through the crap that they're pushing and circulating out there to the Black community. If anything, the Democrats, they're the ones who are sowing division in the community, in this country. They're not about uniting everyone together. They're about themselves. They're about power. They're about division. They have their own agenda in place. And this thing has been in the works for years. It's just that now it's coming to light and people are starting to wake up. They're opening up their eyes. And I'm going to tell you something. The Black community, we will not support her. Nope. They can try to race bait us. Nope. They can try to push the gender agenda in our community.
And speaking of that, Latina, speaking of that, I got a place because they're starting this pressure campaign for any Black person or minority who is not considering voting for Kamala.
You're going to look real crazy being on the other side of that line, particularly as a person of color, but really as anyone who claims to have any connection to the culture. You're going to look real weird and real lonely on that side.
All right, one line from each of you. Madeline, you're going to look really weird, Madeline, if you don't support her.
I'm not paying her no mind. I'm not supporting Kamala Harris because I don't believe in the continued genocide of Black babies in the womb through abortion, where she's pushing tooth and nail, even to the 3rd trimester. I don't believe in that, and I don't support that, and I don't believe that most of especially Black women in the Black community, support that.
Latina, you're weird if you don't support Kamala Harris. You're weird.
I think, that's a weird statement coming from, Miss Reed. I don't think she's all there mentally. God help us all.
No, let's be nice.
No disrespect.
She's very nice. She's very nice to me in the elevator. We sometimes ride the elevator together, and she's actually I said we should do something for charity, like go on the road and do some show for charity, and she said she would. So, I'm going to hold her to that. But I don't know. It just seems like a weak argument. I mean, if Kamala Harris is a smart woman who has a record to run on, then run on the record.
Yes.
Just run on it.
I agree.
To me.
But what record does she have?
Well, that's a good point. Latina, Madeline, great to see both of you. Thanks so much.
We believe in a future where every senior can retire with dignity. As many of you know, our state campaign headquarters are in this city.
Joe. Just call me Joe.
Ours is a fight for the future. And it is a fight for freedom.
Freedom.
No. Generations of America's generations, and we have to remember this.
Let's see that in instant replay.
Generations of America's generations, and we have to remember this.
or MSDNC commentators, Joy Reid. You know, Joy Reid likes to be disrespectful, and definitely black men. Oh, we're going to see the disrespect for the next few months. You better get ready for it. As a black man, we've been talking about this for a long time. So Joy Reid was at the RNC, and I want black men in particular to listen to what Joy Reid says about us, because we want certain things just like maybe other men would like as well in our communities. Let's go ahead and roll that.
And then in Argentina, that's how that went, which is that you had this coalition of, and not to be cruel, but, it was described as sort of an incel election. It was the young, angry men of Argentina who, they wanted a macho candidate. And it went along with policies like banning abortion, banning birth control, and, the idea of no fault divorce. It all kind of goes together, that you've seen this kind of election before. You see the same thing in Hungary. Like the Orbanism of the party it's rooted in returning white Christian men, but also white adjacent men, black men, brown men who are white adjacent in terms of trying to also be in that dominant position in society. And then you have women who are willing to go along with that, right? There are a certain number of women who are also willing, the trad wife sort of thing. And so you
see how disrespectful that was. And let me say something else. How could the white guy that was sitting there allow her to even disrespect him? Because she was not only disrespecting Michael Steele, which is a black man, she was disrespecting that white man at the same time. And none of them said anything about it. See, this is why a lot of men can't get down with the Democrat Party, because the Democrat Party, think about it, pay attention to the majority of the spokesmen from the Democrat Party. Most of them, if you look at them, they're either bug broken or sassy. That's the majority of them. Their shields, all. If you don't believe me, just look at them. Listen to them talk. Look how they move. And the women act more masculine than the men. And any man that comes around and is a real man, that's toxic masculinity. So let's get this straight. White adjacent means black men are close to, right? White men and black men aren't close to each other, other than the fact that we're men, but we're not close to each other. So if black men want to return to the traditional family, that's being white adjacent. See, Joy Reid has anti-blackness in her head. She believes that white is superior, because only if white men want this and black men, we have to be white adjacent. That means we just following them. What? So we've been a feral group of people in this country or something? Like we didn't come from the traditional family? Like we didn't have order in our black society? You know what I'm saying? Joy Reid is allowed to do this on that network. But if you're a black man and you say, you know what, we need to protect our family, even women, she attacked women too. If you're a woman that wants to see the traditional family, you don't want to see the traditional family break apart so easily. It needs to be reasonings for it, right? She takes issue with that. The only type of black man that Joy Reid likes is a black man that's buck broken or a black man wearing a dress. That's the only kind of black man that Joy Reid like, or women that think like her like. They disrespect black men. They yell at black men, talk to black men any kind of way, but you better go out there and vote for Kamala Harris, though. See, the problem that y'all gonna run into, Joy Reid, is going to be black men. I promise you, because the day of y'all disrespecting the black man is over. We're not going to sit up here and let y'all disrespect us like that. And then we're going to sit up here and go promote a candidate that was for that. Once again, look at Georgia. Look what happened with Stacey Abrams. I'm going to keep going back to that. Stacey Abrams was doing the exact same thing Joy Reid is doing. A lot of you Democrat shills that's running around here talking about Kamala and trying to disrespect black men, you're going to turn them off. Maybe some of them may think about her, but you're turning them off because you're being disrespectful. You're being disrespectful. And the more you're disrespectful, the more name calling you're doing, you're going to get those men to stay on the couch or go to Trump. One or two, but they're not going to vote for this lady. Because of y'all, not even because of her. I'm going to tell you, Democrat shield, something. It's going to be y'all that's going to stop black men from voting for Kamala more than Kamala herself. I'm telling you ahead of time because I see what y'all doing. You're doing too much. Already you're doing too much. You're going to be the reason why a lot of brothers going to choose the couch or Trump. It's going to be you. More so you now than before than was Biden. See, at first, it was more so Biden himself. But now, since Kamala got into the play, it's a little different now. So if anybody draws someone to the couch, it's probably going to be you, the shields, you. You don't go talk to white people like that. You don't go talk to Hispanics or any other group of men like that. Only black men. I'm seeing the disrespect all online. Anybody that questions this lady about her policies or anything, you're attacking. You're not going to get that person. Like what? I don't know. Like who told y'all just to attack them, and you'll force them to vote? That don't work. Them days are gone. Joy Reid, those days are gone. Joy Reid. Black men do want the traditional family back. Yes, they do. Black men do want to raise their children. Black men do want a society that's of order. Black men don't want this promotion of alternative lifestyles all over the place. If you want to be honest, that's what's drawing black men, part of it, to Donald Trump, is wanting the traditional family, and the party you're a part of don't promote the traditional family. Because you promote the traditional family, it's going to offend your LGBT voters. So you can't do that. So you're alienating the traditional family voter. It's like now you have, like I said, the far left and the far right. You got both of them going on. Both. But the disrespect for black men is just not going to be it. And it's time for black men to stand on your square. Now, you got a lot of black men who are buck broken and follow behind the skirt of a woman. They don't think for themselves and they're not leaders at all. You have to understand that. But you're not the men I'm even thinking about or concerned about. With this normalization of disrespect of black men, it's going to be black men going to have to stop it. And you brothers going to have to stand in your square and let them know it will not be tolerated. And yes, I've been seeing also on X, it's a lot of black women that's been posting their pictures saying it's a trend going. I am not voting for Kamala Harris. Another trend they doing, they hashtagging Kamala Harris is not black. That's another thing I'm seeing on X that's going around right now. And the Democrat shields are attacking those women, attacking them. Oh, that's what you do, attack another black woman. And the hashtag just says Kamala Harris is not black on the hashtag. Yes, that's one way to change their mind. Attack them. God, y'all sitting up there, y'all gonna make people go vote for Trump. I'm talking about people that wouldn't have voted for him. I'm telling y'all need to slow your roll down, slow your tactics, come with a softer approach, be gentle. That's how you deal with people. But you're not gonna listen. You're gonna keep following the same playbook. Hillary Clinton actually won a popular vote. She did, but she lost the Electoral College. Okay. Kamala herself got a lot of questions to answer about her record and what she's done with 2 black men herself. So what I'm saying to all of y'all is this: if you think you're going to get Kamala more votes by being disrespectful, watch. You will see what happened in November. You will see. You will see. You think disrespecting black women, on top of that, who support black men, who love black men, you think that's going to get them to go vote for her by being disrespectful? You will see. You will see. I promise you. I promise you, you will see what will happen on that. But Joy Reid, if she should have said this about any other race of men, they'd have suspended her behind. But I want you to see how MSDNC is. You can disrespect black men and she can keep her job all day. But if she said this about a white Jewish man or Jewish men want to defend their community, she'd have been.
What is the White House hiding about President Biden's health and the reason for him to drop out of this campaign? We have some shocking new reporting today that we're going to get to on what is really going on. We'll get to all of that part of it in a second. But congratulations to Kamala Harris. Kamala Harris is officially the Democratic Party's nominee this morning. Chuck Schumer, Nancy Pelosi, Hakeem Jeffries, all of them, even Gavin Newsom throwing their support by Kamala Harris, officially endorsing Kamala. Barack Obama is the only one who's not endorsed her. He's, in fact, calling for an open nomination process, So he's the only one.
Oh,
interesting.
Wait, you mean a fair one where delegates actually vote according to what their representatives want them to?
Exactly. A fair and open.
No, they don't do that.
He's not going to do it.
Wait,
it's
doesn't the Democratic primary end on the 22nd, and isn't that usually of August? Isn't that usually when they vote?
You would think so, but no,
that would be 2 days after the deadlines, because to hit California and a lot of other states, they have to have their nominee by the 20th.
Exactly.
Don't they?
Exactly. Well, you would think so. But in this process, who cares about rules? Phillip?
I mean,
Who cares
nearly
about
a
rules?
month ahead of that vote, they want it to be a sure thing, which means that your vote doesn't count.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter. What is the will of a Democratic voter? Who cares?
Doesn't matter. Well, she's now secured the majority of pledged delegates, so you can suck it up. You can suck it up, all you naysayers out there. She's your girl.
You can suck something.
She's now secured the majority of those pledged delegates for the nomination. Remarkable job, not even having to contend with voters. Those pesky voters, you don't even have to deal with them anymore in America, like in a normal democracy. According to the Washington Post, she's been working the phones, calling delegates, asking for their support, and boy, did they give it to her. The head of the DNC today came out saying the Democrats will have an entirely transparent process, so nothing to worry about at all. Everything will be on the up and up. You don't have to worry about anything. She's already working to pick her vice president. The campaign has requested vetting materials for the vice president contenders. 2 sources told NBC News this morning. You have North Carolina Governor Roy Cooper, Pennsylvania Governor Josh Shapiro, Arizona Senator Mark Kelly, Michigan Governor Gretchen Whitmer, Minnesota Governor Tim Walz. The White House Press Secretary Karine Jean-Pierre, interestingly, has mysteriously not held any press conferences. Doesn't want to talk to the press, but she's happy, though, to go talk with The View on ABC and start the PR process on The View this morning, reminding us first that, yes, Biden wrote that letter that you all saw on Twitter the other day. He penned that letter and he shared that letter. Listen.
I'd also say, folks who have not seen the letter that he penned on Sunday and shared and released, you should. I think the letter, if you read it thoroughly, there's no spin to it. There's no spin. No. He truly believed it was the right thing to do in this moment. He truly believed that it was the right thing to do for this country, a little emotional, the right thing to do for this country, the American people, is to give it to someone who is incredibly qualified, right? He said himself, the reason why he picked Vice President Kamala Harris is because he believed that she would be ready to lead from day one. Yeah. And so,
boy, she picked the right audience, right, to start the PR campaign.
Okay, can I play Peter Ducey? You've been telling us he's totally fine for months and months every time we asked because of all evidence to the contrary. So when did you know that you were lying to us? This is what I would say if I were Peter Ducey, who had been in her press briefings every day for the last 2 years.
Well, that's why she's not holding any press briefings right now. You've been telling us that he's as fit as a fiddle, that the doctors signed off on everything, that he's mentally fit. He runs laps around everyone here in the administration. While everyone else is sleeping, he's up doing the work of the American people. So that's why she's not holding press conferences, but she's happy to go to The View. The polling for Biden versus Trump was really bad, right? Biden versus Trump. Biden was getting his clock cleaned by Trump in the polling. In fact, that was the leading reason we heard the Democrats were pushing Biden out. You simply can't beat Trump, we were told. He can't beat Trump. But a series of new polls out this morning shows that it's even worse for Harris. So maybe Harris should drop out too, if we're going by that same reasoning.
No, is she going to get COVID?
Maybe she'll get COVID. Maybe mysteriously vanish and have to pen a letter as well. Trump advisor Jason Miller says not only is President Trump defeating Kamala Harris in battleground states like Pennsylvania, where he's already ahead by 6, but also in Arizona, where he's ahead by 8. Even today, new polling out just a short time ago shows President Trump continues to lead Kamala in New Hampshire, a blue state.
Yeah, I think Congressman Swalwell needs to look at the polling numbers. I mean, not only is President Trump defeating Kamala Harris in battleground states such as Pennsylvania, where he's ahead by 6, or in Arizona, where he's ahead by 8. And by the way, that's according to Democrat pollster PPP. So Congressman Swalwell should look at the polling numbers. But even today, brand new polling showing President Trump continues to lead Kamala Harris in New Hampshire, a very traditionally blue state. There's also new polling out today from Harris showing President Trump up 10 nationally. So Democrats are a bit of jumping out of the frying pan into the fire, and they may have gotten rid of one problem with Joe Biden, but they've inherited a whole new problem with Kamala Harris.
I love Porcupine TV in our chat on YouTube says Biden is coming back stronger than ever. You'll see. I like that.
Okay.
How he's going to come back stronger than ever.
That would be an October surprise.
That would. Suddenly he's like a cyborg or something. You know, he's come back stronger than ever.
I was just going to say, we're going to get Cyber Biden, so.
Right. Or was it the $6 million man? The $6 million man? Wasn't
Steve
that
Austin.
Steve Austin? Yeah. So Harris's job approval rating is as bad as Biden's. Both scored a dismal 38% approval rating. She did a little better than Biden in younger voters. So maybe that's a glimmer of hope for the campaign. 42% of those between ages 18 and 34 approving of her performance compared to 36% for Biden. Meanwhile, we're learning, though, a lot more about the coup that led to President Biden being forced out of this race, his mysterious COVID diagnosis, what suddenly happened in Las Vegas with the president. Tucker broke down a Charlie Kirk post about this, and I think it's really interesting. So I'm going to play the whole thing. Watch.
This is from Charlie Kirk. I'm reading this cold. I got a weird lead on a story people ought to look into. I got a call from a source close to Las Vegas Metro Police. The official story was that Biden's trip was cut short last week due to COVID. However, according to this source, U.S. Secret Service informed Las Vegas Metro that there was an emergency situation involving Joe Biden and to close necessary streets so that POTUS could be transported immediately to University Medical, which they began to do in earnest. Then mysteriously, there was a stand-down order, and the Secret Service informed local Vegas PD that they were going to medevac POTUS to Johns Hopkins, which they presume meant fly him back east as soon as possible. Apparently, the rumor mill in the police department was that Joe Biden was dying or already dead, possibly. I didn't think too much about this lead. It seemed too wild to be true. But given that Joe Biden has been out of public sight for days and dropped out of the race via an X post, and his brother James indicated health was a factor, I'm beginning to grow more curious if COVID or something else has been more serious than reported. If anyone with Las Vegas Metro has information, please email freedom@charliekirk.com. I want to hear if there's more to the official story than what they're telling us.
Well, I'm sure Las Vegas Metro would be just as open as forthcoming as they were during the during the October shooting.
Yeah, the worst mass shooting in American history,
which is never spoken of again.
They tried to drive me out of a camera position while I was doing a story on it. Yeah. Clearly, there's something.
Known for being open and forthcoming.
Yeah. Like the city itself. Clearly, something is going on here. Obviously, I don't know what it is. I know its hallmark, which is secrecy. Secrecy is the hallmark of lying. So if you want to know, is someone lying? Well, I don't know. Is he hiding something? Well, then he's lying, right? So they're lying.
Now, we now know, according to the New York Post, it was most definitely a Democratic coup, and this confirms what my sources have been telling me. It also confirms Laura Loomer's reporting on this. This was all orchestrated by Barack Obama, and it was planned for weeks. As we had been reporting here on this show, we knew that this was coming, and we talked about, of course, how CNN and the CNN debate was a huge piece of this. We covered this. In fact, the New York Post reporting today, top Dems threatened to forcibly remove Biden from office unless he dropped out, set him up to fail at Trump debate, according to sources. Again, we had reported this a few weeks ago that this was going to happen.
That's not what the presidency is. The president gets to decide.
You
would think.
You would think, but no, this is a coup. So operatives at the very highest levels of the Democratic Party threatened President Biden with forcibly removing him from office unless he stepped down, sources told the Post. The well-orchestrated palace coup, according to the Post, to stop the faltering president from seeking re-election had been in place for weeks. But stubborn Biden fought it every step of the way, a source close to the Biden family told the Post on Monday. According to sources, Hunter and Jill Biden got into a huge shouting match at the White House over this. And the Trump debate was set up to convince Democrats that he couldn't run for president, the source said on Monday. This confirms, again, our reporting here at Redacted, that the Trump debate was meant to showcase Biden in total decline. You can rewind the tape on that. CNN was used to carry out this hit on President Biden. Really, CNN was kind of a patsy in all of this, right?
Wait, who do you think that Hunter and Jill were screaming at?
At each other in a fight over. So the stories and the reports that I'm hearing, Hunter Biden shouting at Jill Biden, Hunter Biden had felt that the officials that were surrounding Biden didn't have his best interest at heart at all. Mm-hmm. So he showed up because he felt like his father was being manipulated.
Okay.
The big guy was being manipulated, and that Jill was sort of going along with it. Anyway, they were getting in a big fight about it, like what was actually going to happen here. The staff was overhearing this, and then of course leaked this to the press. So the staff, obviously the adversaries here, versus
staff.
This is why we don't have staff. Exactly.
Right.
Well, our kids are kind of staff, and
the dog doesn't talk.
We routinely yell
It's
at them.
interesting, though, in light of the story we're about to do next about Hunter Biden's lawsuit, about why he would not want his father to step down and his ongoing legal problems, why he may not be the most neutral source.
Right.
So, okay.
So according to the sources, Hunter and Jill got into a huge fight, shouting match at the White House. That Trump debate was a setup to convince Democrats that he couldn't run for president, the source said on Monday. Once again, this debate was used for that purpose. This confirms our reporting here at Redacted that the Trump debate was meant to show Biden in total decline. CNN was used to carry out this hit on Biden. They needed that debate, of course, for suddenly all these Democrats to have their come to Jesus moment. Like, holy crap. Wow, he really is in mental decline. Oh, he's in really bad shape. We should really try to probably force him to change or pull out. But Biden was becoming angry about it. I'm not going anywhere. And he knew all along that Obama was pulling the strings, according to these reports. He said this 10 days ago.
What's Joe Biden going to do? Is he going to stay in the race? Is he going to drop out? Here's my answer. I am running, and we're going to win. I'm not going to change that.
And you can tell he's angry about it. So as calls...
But also, I think it's worth noting whether those people who were planted there or not is interesting to think. They're rooting for Joe Biden. Their votes would go for Joe Biden. So all those people in the back, the Democratic Party has given a middle finger to.
Yeah, exactly. The voters. So as calls for him to bow out mounted, Biden insisted that he would continue privately. But party bigwigs threatened to invoke the 25th Amendment. Here's the big part of the story. Party bigwigs threatened to invoke the 25th Amendment of the United States Constitution, basically saying he's unfit for office. They would remove him from office by his cabinet. And that's what was confronting President Biden, forcing him to step down from the race or else be removed from office. A coup. No other way to read it. This is an internal coup. So according to the Post, they threatened him with this 25th Amendment. This is not conjecture. Here is a New York Post quote. This one stood out to me the most. This is shocking. Democratic Party insiders have also known for at least 2 years how Biden was in decline, said the source. Quote, when I saw him a couple of years ago, it was frightening, said the source. He was just repeating slogans and had no idea who I was, end quote. So now what? Well, it's been 5 days until anyone has seen President Biden alive. As a result, one of the most Googled phrases over the past 24 hours was Biden dead. Well, this morning, someone looking like President Biden and not looking good at all, stumbling out of a black SUV and getting out of a car before getting on an airplane, hunched over and needing help to get out of an SUV. This guy, whoever this is, didn't look good. Watch.
The pool camera is set up underneath the wing. So let's see if he says anything when he comes out. He says that he's going to, by the way, continue to campaign for Kamala Harris, but you got to wonder, does she want him out there on the campaign trail, or does she want to do this herself? I think back to the 2000 campaign when Bill Clinton wanted to campaign for Al Gore, and Al Gore said, thank you, but no thanks. Here he comes.
President, how are you feeling? Mr. President, how are you feeling? How are you feeling? How are you feeling? How are you feeling since you dropped out of the race, sir? How are you feeling about Harris's campaign? Can Harris beat Trump? Can Harris beat Trump, Mr. President?
He sure looks healthy. He really looks healthy, holding that mask as well and getting up there. According to the White House, Biden will address the nation tomorrow at 8 p.m. Eastern time. This ought to be interesting. So by all accounts, he's not dead. We don't think. Will it be recorded or live? We don't know. We don't know yet because like the last one after the assassination attempt on President Trump, it was a recorded video message that President Biden released. And I think they tried to make it look like it was live. And yesterday during a Kamala Harris campaign rally, Biden called into the rally on the phone. You know, he sounds vivacious on a phone call, but get him like in front of a camera, it's a different story. So this they had to prove that he was still alive. He calls into this campaign rally. First of all, do you believe that this is President Biden calling in? We're going to play it and we'll let you decide. Listen.
Let's listen into President Biden calling into this campaign event.
Keep me out of people's hair for the next 3 or 4 days, but I'm going to be on the road and I'm not going anywhere. It's kept me away a little bit, but you know, I want people to remember that what we have done has been incredible, and we get so much more we're going to get done. And so I want to say hello to Kamala. If she can hear me, I know she's going to be speaking shortly. And I want to say to the team, embrace her. She's the best. I want to call today to thank everybody in this effort. I know yesterday's news was surprising and it's hard for you to hear, but it was the right thing to do. I know it's hard because you poured your heart and soul into me to help us win this thing, help me get this nomination, help me win the nomination, and then go on to win the presidency. But you know, you're an amazing
what do you guys
team.
think? A lot of you in the chat right now saying that's AI, and a lot of people saying, well, he had some people saying, according to his health, health-related issues here, that it was a stroke. That's why he's slurring his words. Yes, he's always had a stutter, but he doesn't sound like that. So what's going on here? Well, anyway, we don't know. We don't know.
Did you see the video where the dude uploaded it to 11 Labs? He took that audio, he uploaded it to 11 Labs, which is where most of these voices come from. And it said 90% sure that was generated with AI.
I think it said 98% that it was generated with AI. Oh, I thought you said 90%. And then I saw somebody else though uploaded it and said there's like a 20, or, an 8% or 2% chance that it was fake. So I don't know. Again, you can upload this to AI.
Yeah, those generators are inconsistent. They gave us differing stories about Kate Middleton. So that's not something to take to the bank right now.
No, I mean, tomorrow night, a live address to the nation will hopefully help us take that to the bank. We'll see. But what's really going on here behind the scenes? What about J.D. Vance's question about the president finishing out his term? Remember yesterday, of course, we played that audio where the new vice presidential pick for President Trump, J.D. Vance, Senator J.D. Vance, said that if he's not fit to run for the presidency, then he shouldn't be fit to even serve right now. 25th Amendment, if they were going to employ that to remove him and threaten him with it now, shouldn't they do that? And so Corinne Jean-Pierre was asked that very question on The View. Listen to her response.
But now calls have gone further, including vice presidential candidate J.D. Vance saying if he's not up to serving 4 more years, can he serve out the rest of his term? How do you respond to that?
I think that's ridiculous. Seriously.
He's ridiculous.
It is ridiculous.
Not me. But what I will say is, like, the president decided to not run for re-election. That's it. That's all he decided on. He wants to continue to do the work. 3.5 years of unprecedented historic work. I think that shows what he's capable of doing. I think that shows how important his leadership is.
So he's not dropping out. I'm going to say it right here. You can bookmark it. Mark my words, President Biden will resign the presidency of the United States very soon. He is not going to be president of the United States through January of 2025. Bookmark it.
Okay.
Bookmark it. Okay.
All right. We'll give you a chance.
Go figure. Follow me.